We all here to see B-Eazy. We wanna listen to B-Eazy. Ayy, we all like B-Eazy. Now, matter of fact, we love B-Eazy. Believe me, he really that dude. Subscribe to the channel, it's easy to do. If you care, then go ahead and share this fire content, extraordinarily rare. That's why I put that on my mama, he is that dude. And I put that on my daddy, he is that dude. So, ooh, B-Eazy. He got that certain kind of profile, smooth and effortless style. He's so fresh, makes the whole room stop and stare a while. Hear him asking, who's that? Mama, there he goes again. The way he moves, you know he's gonna win. Oh, you ain't know? That's just B-Eazy. B-Eazy Dat Dude. That man right there. B-Eazy. Ooh, B-Eazy.
He got classy bro, I manager and she escort. International exports, I got hardware, my tech support. Really about that business, cause I'm that dude, but you just a dork. Used to be on that block, equipped with a clock, I sold all kind of dope. 10 toes down on the pavement, I send that bitch like an envelope. Enclosed with a love letter, I love cheddar, so I grind hard. I be putting that work in, but I ain't punching no time card. When it comes to being a boss nigga, I am the epitome. You keep hating, belly aching, but it takes more to get rid of me. I am full of energy, but I ain't feeling jittery. I'm just grinding, shining like a diamond, looking glittery. Literally, I just left the bank to deposit racks. Holla back, don't want no shoes and clothes because my closet's packed. I got hella different kicks just like Lionel Messi. Still be rocking Jordans, but I prefer Giuseppe.
B-Eazy, tell me how it feel. Ooh, tell me how it feel. To be real, to be really that dude. B-Eazy, that dude. Ay, 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 that dude. Oh, B-Eazy Dat Dude, boy, stop playing. You know you that dude and been that dude. Back in the day, he was that dude. Fast forward to today, he's still that dude. Yup, that dude. You can see as clear as day that he here to stay. Either get with the program or move out the way. Ooh. B-Eazy Dat Dude, he back with another one.
Turn your radios up. Turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. B-Eazy Dat Dude, an impromptu stream back with another one. This one will be a banger. Controversial topics, so it will be a doozy. I don't like to keep y'all waiting. So before we get this thing started,
I gotta hit ya.
If you know the song, sing along. Yeah, you're right.
私も地元民と言っても
さすがです。もう友達できたの？
うん。
Put the hammer, put your been a regular. None of your competitors. Niggas better catch up like 10 steps ahead. Look, this promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep. I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow-mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting modo. I be flipping, not shrinking. I don't give a fuck about no ho, no ho. This nigga name ain't D-Lo, but pimpin' these bitches and stacking this bread. Forever be my stilo. This is B-Eazy Dat Dude. In the trap making pass smooth. If I ever go broke, then I'm about to pull a jack move. Since a nigga healthy, I don't even gotta worry. With my bitch from Fiji, eating tandoori and chicken curry. That ism is really indie. My pimp game international. I design my own clothes, so I be always looking fashionable. Here's a couple facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dawg. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of bad.
And we are activated. And it looks like we've been joined by an illustrious guest, the Florida fam, Sunlight from the Sunshine State, shining brighter than a diamond. And it looks like she may be moving from the Sunshine State to a different state. What is the nickname of Nevada? Hold on, let me see. Hold on, because I'm here to learn, but I'm here to teach. So you will be moving from the Sunshine State to the Silver State. So maybe, you won't just be Sunlight, you'll be Silver Light. But salute to Sunlight and the Florida fam in building. And you'll see. Now, before I proceed, y'all let me know, am I coming in clear? Is it too loud, too low? Because, I got my chef hat on. And everyone that's coming in, remember, it won't cost you a fee. Like, sharing, commenting, telling a friend to tell a friend, engaging, it's all free. Even if you trolling, just, because troll lives do matter, come with some level of sophistication. We don't want to deal with the incompetent adults of the troll class. From Sunlight to Silver Moon, so then it'll have to be Silver Moon from the Sunshine State, now presiding in the Silver State in the building. So salute to Sunlight, or Silver Moon, formerly known as Sunlight. Appreciate you. But y'all seen the title, y'all seen the thumbnail. Ryan Clark. And let me pull this down, right? Let me pull this banner down for y'all. This is the discussion we're going to get into. Now, Ryan Clark, I hate to see it. Unfortunately, this is what you call buck breaking. And I wish I had the sound effect that dun, dun, dun. I'm going to have to get that. You feel me? This is what you call that, unfortunately, right? Now, let me just give you all a quick rundown before I proceed. Now, Ryan Clark is a former Pittsburgh Steelers safety. He joined ESPN March 2015 following his retirement from the NFL. Over his 11-year tenure, he became one of the network's prominent football analysts, appearing on such shows as NFL Live, First Take, SportsCenter, and Monday Night Countdown. He also co-hosted the Pivot podcast alongside former NFL players Fred Taylor, Channing Crowder. Now, Clark was known for speaking openly on sports, social, and political issues, and it made him a candid but also polarizing figure on air. Now, there's a lot of circumstances around his firing. ESPN is trying to frame it as, hey, he just got caught up in a layoff storm, right? We were laying off a bunch of people to cut costs, and he was just a casualty of doing business, a casualty of corporate America, right? But there's a lot more things that are underlying and rather insidious as well. There was a kerfuffle on air, let's just call it that, in September 25 with a co-analyst. His name was Peter Schrager. With a name like Schrager, you could assume, what demographic he is part of. Now, Clark allegedly belittled him for not playing in the NFL. He tried to pop his collar and say, look, bro, and I'm paraphrasing, I respect your analysis, but dude, you've never played. You've never put on a helmet. You've never laced up the boots in the NFL. And there is some legitimacy to that, perspective, right? There's also, some flaws in it as well. However, I don't think he should be penalized based on saying that. If we're told to get over being called the N-word, etc., you can get over someone telling you like, bruh, you've never played the game, which is a fact, right? But I don't think that particular perspective is always diminished. But there are some perspectives contextually that hold more weight, right? It doesn't mean that they're right, but they just hold more weight. Now, they should be heavily scrutinized, but some things do just hold more weight, right? If I'm a boxing analyst and I know people like Max Kellerman, and Max Kellerman may be more astute in analyzing boxing than some boxers just based on his level of articulation. But when anyone argue that Max Kellerman knows boxing more than Mike Tyson, he knows talking about boxing more, but he doesn't know what it takes to be a boxer. And that's the difference. That's kind of the message that Ryan Clark was trying to get across to Peter Schrager. And it came off as, you're a Negro and you need to stay in your place. Now, Clark, he explained that he was fired and not laid off, right? Because once they tried to say, hey, there was a series of layoffs. Yeah, a layoff is different than a firing. A layoff is like, look, man, the company, we're not making as much money and we got to cut the cost somewhere. No, he was fired, and ESPN is using that broader layoff cover to camouflage the decision. And Ryan said there was no justifiable cause for his determination. So now I'm gonna get into the video and let y'all hear from his mouth. Now, this is gonna be a reaction video from Tariq Nasheed. He's going to react to it, and he plays a little bit of the podcast, but I know sometimes these podcasts, they have copyright issues. So fair use. This is for entertainment, educational, and enlightenment purposes. But I will be switching back and forth from the screen like this, just so that we make the video transformative. And I believe that the video is only a small segment of the video, and I believe it's sped up too. So if it sounds a little bit robotic or like Alvin and a Chipmunk or something like that, that's why. So let's get into the video, and then we will break this thing down. And salute to all of those viewing this concurrently live and those that will be watching this on the replay. Announce yourself, let your agreements and disagreements be voiced. As long as it's done respectfully and tastefully, it is. Let's commence.
That was unfortunate, but that's not why I'm fired.
You're a stand-up guy. You've always preached accountability. Looking back over your 11 years at ESPN,
12,
11, 12, is there anything you would do differently, or do you leave knowing that you were fully yourself? Or, what are your thoughts, man?
It's a good question. It depends on when you ask me. Like you asked me, like when I see people in public, like OGs and like aunties and stuff, and they tell me they proud of me, and they proud of like, and they proud of like the way I represent the community. Yeah. I wouldn't change anything.
Wait, wait. This is gold.
Okay, so that was an ad right there. So let me go ahead and just pull this down and I'm going to let that ad play. But I have to address what we just seen, right? Hold on, let me let it finish because I don't know if he was done.
Because that means the world to me. You know, I like when I go home and this kid, you know, from the West Bank is like so accepted in New Orleans now. Like I wouldn't change that. You know, never. You know, like all I ever wanted to do is be accepted. You know, and want it. So yeah, like that, I wouldn't change. You know.
The first thing I want to talk about.
Ryan Clark, my brother Ryan Clark.
What? Hope, please.
Nigga, please.
Hope.
Nigga, what?
Nigga, please.
Nigga, please.
What?
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Ryan Clark was fired from his job after being paid millions and millions of dollars. And because they gave him the boot, don't worry, I got more of Ryan Clark crying. I present to you Ryan Clark. You've got to be kidding me. And shout out to B from BD. You gonna have to break down how to pronounce your name. Cause I don't, or you're gonna have to hit the link and tell me how to pronounce your name, but I'm gonna just have to call you B from BD. Cause I don't want to butcher the name. But I concur. How much money does this dude have? And y'all let me know in the chat. Can y'all hear me? Could y'all hear me clearly? You said, how much money does this dude have? This is beyond ridiculous. And this is what I'm saying. Bam. There it goes. Now I can, okay, but I still like, but now instead I can say built from BD, but built from Bad Days. Okay. And I might just call you BD or Bad Days, but salute to Bad Days. And Bad Days, where you chatting from? What part of the globe you from? Are you in Cali or are you on the East Coast? Where you from? But yes, Ryan Clark. Hold on. Let me try to get, I'm going to tell you on real time because I know he was paid millions and millions, right? From ESPN and Disney, right? So let's see. They say that over his total, he's earned over 23 million in total, including base salary, signing bonuses, and incentives, with roughly 15 million from base salaries. They estimate his net worth is anywhere between 6 and 12 million. It could be higher. It could be right around that estimate. His annual salary from ESPN was $2 million, bruh. Come on, bruh. Like, what are you crying about? Oh, shout out. Are you from the DMV or what? Are you from Maryland or are you from Merlin? Which one? Maryland or Merlin? Let me know. You from the DMV? But yeah. After being paid tens of millions of dollars, it's like, I get it, bro. Like, what are you crying for, bruh? But let's see what Tariq has to say about it.
Y'all know Ryan Clark. They got rid of him over at ESPN. He's a very good commentator. Now I broke that down the other day. I broke that down. And it was real janky the way they got rid of him. They were real slick about it. And Ryan Clark was on the podcast, the Pivot, and he made his first public statement about being let go from ESPN. And people were talking about, it happened amid a broader wave of Disney and ESPN layoffs. And, during his podcast, they asked him if he would do anything different during his decades plus tenure at the network. And he became emotional. He started kind of crying a little bit and reflecting on the.
Okay, shot from Built from BD says both lived in Baltimore. Got you. So the BD, when you talking about the bad days, you had some bad days living in the slums of Baltimore. Hey, was you in The Wire, my bro? Was you in The Wire? So you was built from The Wire, and now you went to the Merlin Burbs. I can respect that. They say you started at the bottom, now you're there. You feel me? You started at the bottom, now you in the burbs. I can respect it. Tip my hat to you. You're going to be built from the burbs in a minute, built from bad days. And so your origins was built from bad days, and then you evolved into built from the burbs. Okay, I respect it. A newer, safer, healthier, cleaner version, mentally, physically, spiritually. Salute to the Maryland and the, you feel me? The DMV fam. You said that's a J. Cole reference. Oh. Salute. I don't know a lot of J. Cole stuff. I listen to his music. I just don't, know all of his references. So that went over my head. You said, what does money have to do with a person's life work? It's all about perspective. Disrespect is disrespect. Being used is being used. Yeah, I concur with that. But at the same time, it does sound rich when it's like, bro, you've already had a bunch of money. Like he subjected himself to that, right? He already said he had to kind of de-blackify himself, so he knew what type of environment he was. He wasn't a victim. He was complicit with the parameters that was set. Whether he thought it was offensive, whether he thought it was uncomfortable, he was okay with that uncomfortability. And you're saying that no one's saying that he can't have a perspective, and people could have a perspective about his perspective. Yes, he was disrespected. He was disrespected when they told him to de-blackify himself. He didn't care. He saw other black people at the network get disrespected. He didn't care. I mean, not to say he didn't care maybe in his bleeding heart. He didn't care enough to lose his position. Ryan Clark isn't the first dude that ESPN disrespected. Ryan Clark isn't the first dude that ESPN stabbed in the back and threw under the bus. But he thought he was the exceptional Negro and all this stuff. And you saw him breaking down, saying that he wanted to feel wanted where you were wanted. You were hired there for over 10 years. They wanted you for over 10 years, but they wanted you to step and fetch and be a in-line Negro, a reliable Negro that will toe the line and never buck the system. Yeah, you can have these quirky comments and get slick at the mouth, but ultimately you've already bent the knee to the establishment. Establishment has established rules and established order that they run. You don't run anything. He already knew this, and this is what he signed up for. So that's all people are saying. Yes, he has a right to cry. I'm not saying that. I'm not of the no men shouldn't be crying and all this stuff. But if you're gonna cry, context matters, right? And what are you crying for? He claims that he's crying because what? He lost a job with Disney? And then he's saying, oh, when he saw people in the community and they said, oh, they were, bruh, you mean to tell me the only way he could represent the community is on ESPN? Come on, bruh. He has millions and millions. What would be more? Him in a very fancy suit that nobody from the hood could afford. Him in a fancy suit speaking about the community on ESPN, which doesn't care about black people, right? Or him going to that same community and actually doing something for them, actually building something, actually building his own platform. I mean, if you look at these streamers, whether I agree with them or not, the Kai Sanat, the I Show Speeds, and all these other things, they're using YouTube as a platform to amplify their voices and build their other endeavors outside of YouTube. Ryan Clark, what you're essentially saying is that you need the machine to back and buffer up your point, right? No, but if you were doing this for the so-called community, Disney is not the community. ESPN is not the community. Why won't you just go directly to the community? So is it really about the community, or is it about how you're perceived in and by the community, right? So fair questions to ask. And yes, he was being used. That's the whole point of systemic oppression. That's the whole point of white supremacy. But then when people bring it up, y'all acting like victims. And then when people say, hey, look, this person was abused, it was anti-black racism, it was white supremacy, why are y'all complaining? What do you mean? We're complaining about something that's actively happening. So let's get back into it, though.
Support he received from the community and all that stuff. I really didn't like that crying. I'm gonna be very honest. And he said he was targeted. He wasn't just laid off. He said he was targeted. He said he was deliberately pushed out because of certain decision makers at ESPN. They no longer wanted him. He said he tried to change his persona. He expressed sadness that he actively tried to suppress his natural personality to kind of appease the network executives. He said for like 3 years, he never shied away from any topic. He did this year. He couldn't be too black. And he said what made him sad was him trying to adjust to be more of what certain people wanted, and they still fired him. So wasn't too crazy about the crying. Let me talk to the family about that. Listen. The optics of surrendering emotional leverage, that ain't it. That's and I like Ryan. I think he's a great commentator, great personality. But listen, if you are a black man and you're operating in a high profile, YT owned corporate space, your emotional composure is your armor. Crying when you immediately get laid off or fired, that gives the dominant society and the corporate structure the ultimate satisfaction. That showed them that their economic control over you dictates your emotional stability. So that visually.
Bingo. And this is the whole concept of the never let them see you sweat. And am I coming in clear, y'all? No one still let me know in the chat, so I'm assuming that I am. But let's kind of break down the thought experiment behind the never let them see you sweat. And you are absolutely right, Sunlight. America loves to see black man cry. And this is why you got Van Jones. They always love to prop up Van Jones and Billy Porter, right? It's just something about seeing black men cry. I think people should be in touch and in tune with their emotions, but it's a time and place for that, right? You don't do everything for everyone to see, which is the concept behind, and let me just pull this up so we can discuss this just a little bit, right? Never letting them see you sweat. So let's get into like 3 points of that, right? So we are in a trust economy. So it's the perception versus reality. In moments of crisis, ambiguity, or high performance, people look for anchors. Visible panic, rushed movements, or vocal tremors signal loss of control. If a leader or peer appears overwhelmed, it immediately downgrades their perceived competence. By projecting composure, you give others a stable reference point. They don't need to know you're fine. They need to build on projected stability. So and he's also talking about like things how you do things for the community. I support that. I champion that on. However, you're undermining your role as a leader, as a authority figure when people see you crying and breaking down over this job, right? You're giving more value to the job, right? They fire you. Think of whatever place y'all been at. Walmart, I'm sure you liked working at Walmart. I'm sure you had some good friends working at Walmart. But if Walmart give you the boot, maybe you cry at home, maybe you cry in the car. You gonna cry publicly and let Walmart know how devastated you are by them being fired? Think of whatever job you got fired from. You worked at a hospital. Are you gonna say St. John's Hospital fired me on a public podcast? What purpose does that serve? Does that galvanize the young people? Oh, I seen another black man crying over being fired from a hospital, so that's going to make me want to work at a hospital. I saw Ryan Clark being fired from ESPN and he was crying over it, so that's going to motivate little young black boys and girls to get hired at ESPN? What purpose did it serve? I'm not saying that he shouldn't have cried or anything, and I get that it's an organic moment, right? Let's just assume that it wasn't theater, right? Or no type of stage theatrics. I thought it was real. I thought it was organic, but I have to ask again, why was that organic? I don't even think that was nothing to cry over. We got so many issues as a country, as a nation, as a society, as a community, as an ethnic group, as a race. We have so many other pressing issues to cry over, right? There's a lot of things that you can cry over, and they'll look at black people and say, man, you better not be crying over that. But then we're supposed to look at Ryan Clark and care that he got paid millions of dollars and he's crying that he got fired. Okay. Right now, if somebody got fired from Walmart and they really needed their job, they needed their job way more than Ryan Clark needed his. And people gonna be like, man, shut up. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. What you crying for? Stop with the victim mindset. That's what people would say. But with Ryan Clark, it's just like, well, he was used. Yeah, he knew he was being used and he was okay with being used. It's just like a hoe being pimped. She was getting pimped. Yeah, she was already hoeing before the pimp. She chose the pimp because the pimp was going to help manage her hoeing. It was a voluntary choice. She was a hoe that chose to get pimped out. So yeah, you can have sympathy, but it's like at some point, how far does the sympathy go for someone that put themselves in a voluntary position? Someone that was complicit with the decisions of their so-called P, their so-called daddy, right? Ryan Clark was complicit with the decisions of ESPN. It's just only when they turned their ire towards him. He didn't play the role. He was already buck dancing. He told you when they said jump, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially when they said jumped, he said how high. He de-blackified himself. He tried to tone and simmer down his blackness to appease the people. And they said, you know what? It still ain't enough. You didn't tone it down enough. What is masculine about anything I just said? What is manly about that? Sure, it's manly to lift hundreds of pounds and run around on the football field and cracking people, right? And why is it all these biggest, buffest dudes? Like Ryan Clark is a very strong, buff built dude, right? He played in the NFL. You got to be a monster to play in the NFL, and an athletic beast. So he's athletically a beast. Intellectually, he's pretty sharp. But when it comes to docility, these dudes are very fragile. They're fake, phony, and fragile, because all of their toughness was exerted on the field, exerted in the weight room. And then when they get in the boardroom, they kowtow to people because they're going to cut a check. But you've already got a check cut. You've got millions of dollars. Why didn't you build anything with that? Instead, you're looking to work on a plantation than to build your own plantation, right? To build your own corporation. You know what I mean? You're looking to work for a corporation. And that's the bigotry of low expectations that you have for yourself. You've been socially engineered and indoctrinated to accept that. You know what I mean? And yes, the hurdles are going to continuously come. but you already said that you have the community backing you. And instead of going and backing and building with the community, you're like, hey, community, I'm not going to build with y'all. I'm going to just get on ESPN and say some things that y'all occasionally like. And he already said that he had to de-blackify himself, so he really couldn't. I mean, what could he have truly said that was for the community? And even if he said something that was for the community, it was a diet version of it. So we supposed to praise Ryan Clark. I don't have millions of dollars, right? The way I stand on the community was way harder than Ryan Clark has. And I'm just specifically talking rhetorically right now. Not talking about any donations or anything else, because that's all he's talking about. He said the people came up and they said, we love the way you represent the community. He's representing the community by him looking dapper and by him speaking astutely in an articulate manner about the community. I mean, I could do the same thing, right? I could hop on camera, I can get a suit and I can speak astute, but I can go way further than Ryan Clark ever would go because I've never been bought out. I've never got a check from ESPN or Disney or any of these corporate institutions. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with getting a check, but to try to pretend as if Ryan Clark has been some grassroots voice for the black community. No, he hasn't. And him even speaking up for the community, that's the bare minimum. It's your community, right? So you're not going to get a cookie. It's like if somebody was talking bad on your daughter or your son and then you defended your daughter, and what? Would you want a cookie for speaking up for your daughter? It's your son. Of course you're going to speak up for your son, your family. So yeah, you don't get a pass or a pat on the back or, a Oreo cookie just because you spoke up for the community. You're part of the community. Of course you should speak up for it. But let's get back into it. Oh, but actually, hold on. I did have a little bit more on the never let them see you sweat. So let me hash this out too before we proceed. Now, this one is about emotional contagion and the self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, neuroscience, and y'all can look up whatever I'm saying, right? Neuroscience shows that the human mirror neurons pick up on micro expressions of stress. When you sweat visibly, you spread anxiety like a virus, which makes problem solving harder for an entire group. And I'm speaking as if someone was leading you. And that's why, as a leader, the concept of never letting them see you sweat, right? So let me run that back. So when you sweat visibly, you spread anxiety like a virus, which makes problem solving harder for the entire group. Conversely, adopting a calm physiology, i.e. steady breathing, deliberate movements, it triggers a top-down effect on your own brain, acting as an unflappable. Well, let me rephrase that. Acting unflappable often makes you unflappable. It signals to your amygdala that the threat is manageable, shifting your brain from panic mode, fight or flight, to problem-solving mode, which activates your prefrontal cortex. And that's what I say. If you want to, if you're in a fight, right? You need to project yourself, even if it's a fight that you know that you're going to lose, right? Man, I'm looking, this dude is 6'5", he's 300 pounds, he's probably going to kick my butt. You're not supposed to present that. You're supposed to present that I am a gladiator. I am Leonidas. I am, Maximus, right? And I'm going to whoop this dude's behind. You need to project that. And in your mind, thoughts become things, right? But by you allowing them to see you sweat, then they're like, oh, okay, I already got this dude beat psychologically. So the physical beating is going to be, a walk in the park. But if they can't read you, that gives you an advantage. And it actually boosts a lot of things with your brain waves to make you more confident, which also gives you a certain level of strength and a psychological edge that keeps people on their toes, right? And I'll also say, before I proceed, There's a distinction between effort and agony. And remember, we're talking about never letting them see you sweat as a leader, right? Because you're projecting this onto the team. Doesn't mean that you can't go sweat behind closed doors. Doesn't mean that you can't go cry behind closed doors. But if you're a quarterback and you're trying to lead the team to the championship, right? And you start crying, come on, guys, we're just going to win this for the team. It's like, how is that going to come off? Is that going to instill confidence in the players to go out there and split some wigs on the team? You know, so this is where, you know, you're projecting through that level of pain. So this saying is not about faking perfection, right? People respect effort and grit. What they don't respect is the performance of suffering. Sweating implies reactive, unproductive distress, the frantic scrambling that undermines decision making. The thought process here is channel the heat into fuel, not noise. Let them see your determination, your focus, and your swift action. Never let them see the existential dread churning underneath. Now, the critical caveat where most people get it wrong, the deepest thought behind this phrase is knowing when to turn it off. If you wear this mask 24/7, you become emotionally illegible, cold, robotic, or inauthentic. You must have a backstage, a confidant, a partner, a mentor where you can let the sweat pour out, decompress, and admit that you're scared. So there are times where you need to admit that you're scared. There are times that you need to cry and you need to express yourself in an emotionally volatile manner. But timing and placing is everything, right? Now, the ultimate wisdom is strategic poise in the arena. You are an unshakable fortress. Behind closed doors, you are human. The mistake isn't sweating, it's sweating publicly when others are relying on you to hold the line. Keep outward composure sacred, but never let the internal pleasure go unprocessed. Never let them see you sweat. Now, obviously, it's easier said than done, but if you're not even focused on getting it done, then you'll never do it. So we've been joined by some illustrious guests. Of course, we got the sensational and the sophisticated sincere Saida, and we got RS1, and you said King Kong. Which King Kong you talking about? Because King Kong ain't got nothing on me, but salute RS11. But and we also got last call, Mr. Midnight Soul, chatting from an undisclosed location in Northern America. Salute to you. And we gonna get back into it. So I'm gonna play a little bit more of this, and this is Tariq giving his response to Ryan Clark, who he just still doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. If you have such a powerful voice that you believe Ryan Clark, then you can reach the community without ESPN. So here's Tariq. He had an issue with Ryan Clark crying.
Communicates that they held the key to your self-worth. You wasn't too crazy about the crying. Let me talk to the family about that. Listen. The optics of surrendering emotional leverage, that ain't it. That's and I like Ryan. I think he's a great commentator, great personality. But listen, if you are a black man and you're operating in a high profile YT owned corporate space, your emotional composure is your armor. You know, crying when you immediately get laid off or fired, that gives the dominant society and the corporate structure the ultimate satisfaction. That showed them that their economic control over you dictates your emotional stability. So that visually communicates that they held the key to your self-worth. You never let the establishment see that their rejection broke you. You take the hit, you keep your posture, you pivot with cold, calculated precision. That's what you do. I don't like all that crying stuff. Respect to him, and I get it, but damn that. You know, the tears were kind of triggered about him thinking about the respect he gets from the community and all that stuff. And that.
And I also want to shout out to Built from Bad Days. Hit me on the Cash App, so I sincerely appreciate that. I also got to give a shout out to the 504 boy, Woody, the New Orleans fam, Braxton. And look, hopefully y'all can take the time to like the stream. It won't cost you a fee. Like, sharing, commenting is all free. And if you do want to make a financial contribution, you know what I mean? And it looks like we've been joined by Mr. 350, the big block boat rider. Big rig slaps in building. Salute to bro. And if any of y'all want to come up and chop it, I'm only gonna play a little bit more of this story, and then I'm going to, you know, kind of pivot. I do gotta have some other ones. You know how how figures don't lie, but liars do figure, right? You can't, numbers don't lie, but people can lie with numbers. And then also we're gonna talk about the African Haitian TPS. So this one will be a banger. But I do want to salute to my fam from Baltimore. For some reason, I get a lot of East Coast love. So shout out to all my people from the DMV. Bro just hit me on the Cash App. I wasn't expecting that. He revealed himself. He has been a constant and consistent. Well, I won't say constant. Let me say he's been a consistent supporter, and money talks, and I do respect that. So I'm going to proceed, but hey, I am a man of the people. I do this for the free. But if you do want to make a contribution,
Grave digger, the dome cracker, the wig splitter. All about my cheddar, square ass nigga. Hating on the player, cause I'm all about my facts. Drugs don't get you, 100 miles per hour, feel like a cobra. All about my cheddar, square ass nigga.
Don't you think it's about time you gave me my money? Want my money? I need cash.
Please send that money. Please send that money. Please.
and we are back. So let's get back into this thing.
Love is real, no doubt about that. But crying about it while discussing being fired on ESPN, that unintentionally, and that conflates the two. You know what I'm saying? And that sends a subconscious message that the white-owned platforms, that was the only vehicle that allowed him to earn that community respect, and it's not. See, that platform didn't make him valuable to the community. His voice made him valuable to the community. And shedding tears over the loss of that network, that elevates the network's importance. Instead of basically highlighting that his cultural capital, that still remains intact regardless of who signs his checks. You see, Clark,
Yeah, and shout out to Louisiana. And this is the thing. Louisiana is a FBA city, you know what I mean? And not only that, it does have a lot of culture. You know, Haitians brought a lot of culture there, other people. So it's a beautiful city in New Orleans. And shout out, I got my New Orleans fam in here. You feel me? Braxton. What it did do, Mr. Shrimp and Grits. You feel me? But Ryan is over here pretending it's like he got his respect. He got his chops from the community only because he was on ESPN. If that's the case, that is rather sad and pathetic about you, because you're saying the only way that you can connect to the community, and I'm not saying he actually said this, I'm just, trying to bring it all home. But, even though he didn't say this, he is kind of revealing this sentiment without saying it, right? The only way that you believe that you can connect massively and collectively with the community is to go on ESPN and occasionally tie a sports issue to a race issue. No one is looking at ESPN as the pinnacle for Black leadership and morality discussions, right? So if you occasionally stand up for black people in a small segment, it's not like they're going to do an extended segment and allow people to stand up for black people. So if you occasionally speak up for black people on ESPN, hey, bravo. Salute to you. I tip my hat to that. But come on, bruh. You should be building in the community. And this is why they say the revolution won't be televised. The things that he should be building in the community, we shouldn't even know about or shouldn't even see. Now you can question it, but you won't even know about it. And then you go to Louisiana and say, oh, wow, look at all this stuff that Ryan Clark has built. He's has tens of millions of dollars over the course of his career. How many platforms could he have built? How many institutions could he have built? Instead, he's just looking for white mommy and daddy to give him a job and cut him a check. Why won't you be the black daddy that's cutting these young black youth and young youths of America checks? Instead, you feel me? He's comfortable just being, getting the crumbs off of their tables. Idolizing whiteness is money, actions, prestige, etc. Yeah, and this is exactly what it is. It's like the white ice is always colder and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, bruh, why haven't you built your own platform? You think, I'm just saying, like, imagine the Black Panthers, right? The Black Panthers didn't have anyone to put a battery in their back. They didn't have the establishment giving them positive coverage, right? And they still was able to have a stronghold over the culture of black society. This dude has a mega microphone that gets amplified to millions and millions of people, and all he can do is occasionally muster up some pro-black talking point. How long does that go? We're supposed to be proud of Ryan Clark for him standing on business for 30 seconds. Meanwhile, I'm doing 3-hour streams, going way further than Ryan Clark ever would go. So, I mean, like, who's really standing up for the community? And we're just talking about rhetorically right now. Then on top of that, I've donated a bunch of money, tens of thousands of dollars, and also my time and services as well, because that accounts for something. Sometimes people don't put a value on their services, right? If I'm a mechanic and I know that I charge $100 to $200 an hour, and then I go and fix, a bunch of cars in the hood, those are hundreds of hours of service that I provide. There was a cost to it. Just because I may not have charged them, it wasn't free. I could have charged them $200 to do this. So yes, that's basically like me giving you $200 of service. You need to start putting a monetary value on your service, even if you don't charge. So you have some estimation of what you can do without necessarily breaking bread. You're breaking bread without breaking bread. You know what I mean? Hey, you know what I mean? So-and-so does hair. Hey, could you do my hair? And then I cut your lawn and wash your car and all this stuff. Let the prices even out. Let the services even out. You know what I mean? Things may not be apples to apples, but there are ways that you can help, utilize the greatest resource, which is a human resource. That's why every major company has a human resource department, right? Because if you have a company, right? Let's say you have a construction company. What's the greatest resource of that company? It's not the wood. The wood is not going to build itself. It's not the tractor. The tractor can't drive itself. The crane can't operate itself. Of any company, the most valuable resource is the human resource. But do people treat it like that? No. And then they only treat themselves as, as a human doormat, something to be stomped on, stepped on, people to step in dog poo and wipe it off. There's no fortitude in doing that. And salute to the marvelous my boo. What it did do. Appreciate you for sliding through. You said, I don't believe anyone idolizes whiteness. Carlos Costa? Is it Carlos Acosta? Yeah, people do idolize whiteness. Just because you don't believe it doesn't mean that it's not true. Look at the people. Acosta sounds like you're Latino, right? Many people in the Latino community. I will vote for Donald Trump, right? That's the reason why they did that, because they were idolizing whiteness. There's a reason why they have terms like mejoró la raza, which idolizes whiteness. There's a reason why They have mentalities of blancamiento, which idolizes whiteness. Of course, it's not every single one, but it is a significant and a problematic amount. Carlos Acosta, you know this. So why are you either you're ignorant and uninformed, or you're a liar? Which one is it? They want to be racist so bad, meaning benefiting from and supporting the system of white supremacy. However, you can never be racist because you don't benefit from white supremacy, but you become a tool and a useful idiot. Correct. And I also thought about this. Not only are there useful idiots, there's also useful intelligentsia, where people are extremely intelligent and they can tout all of these degrees. I have a master's degree. I have a doctorate. You know, I went to this prestigious school, and they try to weaponize their intelligence. But there's a bunch of people that are, are smart, but they're intellectually obtuse, right? Which you can't really give them a pass on that. Someone like Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson was not born with a silver spoon. He was born with a platinum spoon. He went to the best colleges. His dad was CIA, intelligence officer, right? So when Tucker Carlson is pretending if he doesn't know anything, how could someone with just a basic high school diploma know certain things beyond Tucker Carlson's intellectual capacity? Is it that he doesn't know it, or is that he's pretending that he doesn't know? And then let's just concede that he doesn't know. How can we respect these people that went to all of these Ivy League schools, but just very simple, basic things about social, economic, and geopolitics that they don't know? I mean, what is there to respect? You went and paid all that money. You know what I mean? You were a legacy admissions. You went to Harvard, Dartmouth, Vanderbilt, and all of these schools, but yet a lot of stuff they just don't know about their own country that they claim to love. So yeah, there are useful idiots, but there's also useful intelligentsia, where they prop them up and say, look at all of these degrees that they got, look at this prestigious university. And then when you try to debate them, and even if you do debunk them, it comes down to how many degrees do you have? It doesn't matter. If I say 2 + 2 is 4, you shouldn't be followed. Yeah, but where'd you go to school at? It doesn't matter where I went to school at. If I say 2 + 2 is 4, that's a fact. There's nothing you can say to debunk it. I didn't graduate, from a prestigious university. You did. What does that have to do with the points that I'm laying out? So when you lay out points and that people can't refute them, then it tries to proceed to an ad hominem attack and try to discredit you intellectually, right? But if we just have a debate, or we have a discussion and, a battle of wits and ideas, if you're that formidable, then you should, intellectually defeat me. But that's usually not the case, because there's a lot of, useful intelligentsia who actually are idiots, to be honest. You said shrimp and grits, smoked gator, po' boys, crab pie, seafood mac and cheese, seafood casserole, stuffed crab, Cajun pasta, Creole potato salad, or as I say, tater salad, king cake bread, pudding, and more. I don't even know what king cake bread is. So Braxton, when I come out there, you're going to have to break me off. You're going to have to show me around, man, to some good restaurants, and listen to the marvelous, you feel me? Welcome everyone, and make sure that you hit that like button. It won't cost you a fee. The likes are free. And you said, don't forget the eggs and rice. What type of eggs and rice? Because the only time I had eggs and rice was in like chicken fried rice. So it wasn't just eggs and rice. It was all of it. It was chicken fried rice. So it was chicken, it was eggs. They had the little vegetables like the carrots and stuff, and the fried rice. No, I never had king cake at all. I don't even know what that is. Damn, man. Let me see what that is. Maybe it's something that king cake. I think I had this before. I gotta taste it to know if it's real king cake, because sometimes people will make something and say, oh, I just seen that, I just looked that up. King cake is definitely a staple out there. Okay, so Sunlight, I need you to run me some of that king cake. And Braxton, all of this stuff that you brought up, you're gonna have to whip that up for your boy. Crab pie, never had that. I did recently have crab fried rice. That was fire. Seafood casserole. I'm not a casserole guy, but Sounds good. Stuffed crab. Well, actually, I know a lot of people eat tuna casserole. That's not my thing. And what's the difference between Creole potato salad and just, see, I eat tater salad. So what's the difference between Creole potato salad and tater salad? Because I know when my mom whips it up, it's like mustard, eggs, man, it be going stupid. But yeah, Creole potato salad, y'all got me interested. I'm gonna have to take that trip down south. Dirty rice and jambalaya. You say yes, sir, and I still got to learn how to make those myself. When I get one, you can stay at my place and look up king cake. It's a traditional staple. I did look that up. See, y'all putting me on. Like I said, I'm here to learn, but I'm also here to teach. So thank y'all for learning me something new. You said Manny Randazzoos. I don't go anywhere else. Okay, well, thank you for putting me on that. So let me play a little bit more of this, and then I'm going to transition into the next story. And I do appreciate y'all.
Openly admitted that the white-owned platforms, that was the only vehicle that allowed him to earn that community respect, and it's not. See, that platform didn't make him valuable to the community. His voice made him valuable to the community. And shedding tears over the loss of that network, that elevates the network's importance. Instead of basically highlighting that his cultural capital, that still remains intact regardless of who signs his checks. You see, Clark, he openly admitted that he spent the last year trying to tone himself down, trying not to be too black, trying to adjust his authentic self to appease these executives who still fired him anyway. So crying over a situation where you willingly compromise your identity, that's not a display of strength. That looks like the mourning of a toxic one-sided relationship.
Exactly. And I don't want to beat up the brother too much more, but y'all get the gist of it. It just wasn't a sign of strength. And it's unfortunate because this usually is happening with a bunch of strong dudes. If you get Ryan Clark in the weight room, the dude is pretty jacked. He's going to lift up a lot of pounds, right? Hundreds upon hundreds of pounds. And we've been joined by the infamous, the notorious Shakim Cowboy Ra in the building. Salute to the cowboy. Howdy haw. Yeehaw. Yeehaw, cowboy. So yeehaw. Could we get a yeehaw for Shakim? But yeah, the whole thing with Ryan Clark. Look, bruh, I don't find an issue with Ryan Clark expressing himself. I do think that I'm not of the men should never cry, because that's idiotic, right? There's a bunch of situations and scenarios that I can present to you, and men would shed a tear. And let's keep it a buck. There have been some movies that have been emotionally touching, and then you look over and it's like, I'm not crying, you're crying. And then you look over, I'm like, nobody is chopping onions, and the eyes look a little glossy, right? Humans are emotional creatures, right? But there's a time and a place. Once you're talking about leading people, being a leader of men, galvanizing people, right? Bringing people together, and people see you as a rock, as a strong authoritative figure, as a voice of reason. We don't want to see you whining because you lost a job, bruh. Especially when we're saying, bruh, we'll support you. We don't give a dog about that job. We'll support you when you crying. Yeah, but man, it was my job and I got to represent you. It's like, if you truly represent us, bro, you should represent us with or without that job. All the people that support Ryan Clark, they're not saying we supported him only because he was on ESPN and Disney. So like Tariq is saying, bro, you're giving this job way more value than it needs to be. And again, not to pocket watch, but Ryan Clark has been paid millions and millions. Why hasn't he built his own platform? Come on, bruh. Like, what are we talking about here, bruh? He's too happy. Rather than build your own plantation, you're looking for a different plantation. The same things that people say when they talk about get off the Democratic plantation. Yeah, but you're trying to go to a Republican plantation. You're trying to say, hey, flee from another plantation to another one. How about you just build another one? It doesn't even have to be called a plantation, right? Or it could be called a plantation, because a plantation doesn't inherently have to be about enslaved people populating that land, right? So I'm just saying it, and matter of fact, I wish my boy John was in here. I wish my boy John was in here. And is Sincere still in the chat? Because I already played y'all. Before I move on, I'm going to play this last footage of Ryan Clark crying. Ryan Clark. Come on. Come on, Ryan. You still haven't got it, bruh. Hey, my bad, Joe. Hey, that was out of nowhere. I couldn't give y'all a heads up. Sometimes I gotta hit you. I can't always give y'all warning. But my, you be doing your little R&B list. Don't act like you don't like this. And Mr. Cowboy, Mr. Yeehaw, the notorious Yeehaw, don't act like you don't like. Come on, don't act. Is Mario a legend? I'm just saying, bro. His status might be a bit underrated. I'm just saying. Salute to Mario though, and salute to the chat. The chat is chatting. And you said come down and have a few drinks with the phantoms and the ghosts. Yep. Hey, I try, and I'm here all week, my. I'm here all week. So let me go ahead and pull this down, and I'm going to transition to this other story, right? How to lie and mislead with statistics, right? So people love to bring out all these statistics, and sometimes all someone has to do is just make an infographic, and you think that because you saw it on a meme and they say 50% of women, you feel me, don't like men to suck on their toes, and you be like, 50% of women don't like men to suck on their toes. It's like, okay, where's the facts behind that? You've seen it on a meme. And because the meme was created in a very colorful, artistic way, you thought it was true. Now, there are three kinds of lies. They say lies, damn lies, and statistics. Or some would say lies, damn lies, and goddamn lies. Now, that saying is highlighting how statistics can be manipulated to mislead and or distort the truth. So I'm going to read you a couple quotes before we get into this, right? Now, from Daryl Huff, the secret language of statistics, so appealing in a fact-minded culture, is employed to sensationalize, inflate, confuse, and oversimplify. So sometimes they try to oversimplify things with statistics and make it seem like it's just black and white, cut and dry. They bombard you with statistics to confuse you, and sometimes they inflate certain things that have nothing to do with each other. But because it's said in a statistical and sometimes a scientific manner, you believe that it's gospel. Now, they say figures don't lie, but liars can figure. Numbers without context can be meaningless. This is a reminder that omitting essential information or background can distort interpretation. And if you're trying to distort interpretation, you're trying to create a narrative. And if you're trying to create a narrative that's not based on a foundation of fact and truth, you know what they call that? Propaganda. And it could just be a flat out lie. Permitting statistical treatment and the hypnotic presence of numbers and decimal points to befog casual relationships is little better than superstition. And that's what's saying that sometimes people try to bog down our relationship as human beings into whatever numbers and decimal points that some biased agency said, right? Because not all of these agencies, they're not truly just impartial. They're not truly unbiased, right? And think of it about like this when they have polling for politics, right? They say that polling is a snapshot in time. You can use the polling to gather information, but most of the polls are propaganda. When they say something like this, 88% of black voters support this, 93% of Latino voters support this, but who are the Latinos that they counted? And then when you start looking at the reference points, okay, they'll be saying of the 100 voters we interviewed, or most of those polling is done with less than 10,000 people. Or I won't say most of them, but I'll say many of them. Let's ump the numbers. Many of those polls don't even have 100,000 people participating. So they'll take a poll of 1,000 people, and then those 1,000 people will speak for an entire population, because they talk to 1,000 black people. Then they'll say, of the 1,000 black people we talk to that support defund the police, 93% of the black community supports this. It's like, but you didn't talk to 93% of the black community. It's literally physically impossible. Because for one, much of the community are kids, so you definitely didn't talk to the kids, and then you didn't talk to any of the minors who was actually part of the community. And then most of the times the people that answer to these polling are older people, and then they don't distinguish between who is an immigrant, who is on TPS, someone that's, you know, a foundational freedman. So your reality gets shaped by these polls, because they told you, yeah, I read a poll and, you know, X, Y, and Z supports this. Is like, I never been polled. I never answered any of those. So that's what we're going to get into. We're going to get into black existence, white obsession. And it's not just white people, right? There's other melanated groups as well. But this is going to be a reaction from a channel called XO Speaks. I don't know this brother's ethnic background, but salute to the bro. And this is titled "The Problem with Fake Statistics Racists Use Against Black People." So let's get into it. They say men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. Well, people can lie with numbers, though. So let's get into it.
Love doing is hiding behind fake statistics. And you can tell it's never about truth by how excited they get when they think they found something negative. Because normal people don't sit around looking for fake numbers about a group that they supposedly don't have a problem with. They always have some screenshot.
And just to be clear, I will be going back and forth just to make the video transformative. Bam. But yeah. So all of these fake statistics, right? And some of the statistics may be real, but like I said, you can also lie with numbers. You can lie by omission of facts. But all of these people, I got black fatigue. You got black fatigue, but they literally memorized the black stats. They're memorizing stats about black so-called fatherless homes. They're memorizing black crime stats, but most crime by white people is committed by white people. They don't know the numbers for the crime by the people in their own community. And notice they never bring up Hispanics. Do people think that Hispanics are just like these sweet innocent angels and they never do anything? So when they want to talk about police reform, they talk about black and brown. Why are you saying brown? I thought it was only black people. So if it's black and brown, what exactly are the browns doing? I thought they were sweet innocent angels and they wouldn't bust a grape at a fruit festival with golf cleats on. So if they're doing crime, what actual crime are they doing? And is that their culture? Black and brown, black and brown. Well, let's talk about the black crime and then let's talk about the brown crime, since y'all want to lump us all together. But that's not what they do. All they do, what about black on black crime, black this, black stats, black women in bodies, black men in do-rags, blackity, black. It's like, huh? I thought we were all people of color. So why aren't they talking about POC on POC crime? All of these contradictions is why it's foolish for you to allow yourself to be lumped under a flat blackness ethnic banner, under a minority marginalized group POC banner, because no one knows who the hell you're talking about. But let's get back into this thing.
Percentage or random post they saw online and never bothered to fact check. They bring it up like they've been waiting for the perfect time to use it.
So between the black FBAs, boomers dying out, because boomers are y'all's biggest generation, between your wanton street murder against each other, between your wanton OBGYN murder, that your women perform, and the fact that your total fertility rate is 1.1. There's only one other race on earth that has a smaller fertility rate than you guys, and it's the South Koreans. Between all of these factors combined, y'all's population is expected to more than halve by 2075. You're currently 45 million strong right now. By 2075, y'all are going to be less than 20 million strong. And that's not even the worst part. The worst.
So again, let's just say this is all true. Shouldn't he be championing this on? Like, why do you care, right? You have black fatigue. So if all of this was true that he said, why would he care? Then he's over here calling that, he's saying that black women, you guys go in there and, you know, you unalive your children and all this stuff. But if that's the case, and he's pretending as if he cares about black women, and then when you start bringing up the black maternal crisis where, you know, a black woman in America is more likely to be unalived giving birth than someone in some third world underdeveloped country. All the pro-life people doesn't say this is an epidemic. We need to figure out how to make sure that we're giving more life to these black babies, because I don't see color. And we're all created in the image of God, but that's not what they're saying. Instead, they're saying, nana, nana, boo, boo, you guys are having abortions. But it's like there's a bunch of white women having abortions. Notice they never talk about the white abortions. They only talk about the black women. But I thought you guys, you had black fatigue. So you should be excited if all these so-called black women are getting abortions. And then there's also a term of flat blackness where it's like, who are the black women, right? Because then you'll see a lot of Caribbeans, a lot of African immigrant women who getting divorces. How about we delineate and disaggregate the data? How many Caribbeans got an abortion? How many Africans? How many freedmen got an abortion? Instead, all the numbers are just lumped in together. So you think that, oh, black people are doing this, but it's a presumption that is foundational black Americans, right? Because they try to say, hey, we all black, but when it's time to delineate, no, those are the Africans. So how does this make sense? Immigrants immigrate here. A melanated immigrant is considered African American, but then they pivot and call them Africans. So what are they? Are they African? You want me to call myself African American, so are we going to call them African? The thing is, they can't call themselves foundational black American or freedmen. So people get mad. So we're all supposed to call ourselves African American. And this is going to lead to my next story, which is why my title says African Haitian, right? We're all African. Okay, fine. So why are you telling me that Haitians are being deported? Africans are being deported, right? No. They're not African. They're Haitian. Hold on. Wait a minute. I thought you said we were all African. So why are you calling them Haitian? They're Africans that are being deported, right? But no, we have to call them Haitian. Fine. Then you have to call me a foundational black American freedman because of my ethnogenesis. But again, here are the people that claim they have black fatigue. You guys are killing each other in the streets. Well, shouldn't you be happy? Because you said you have fatigue. So that's less of a black person for you to complain about. You guys are aborting your babies. Shouldn't you be happy? Because you don't want any black babies born anyway. So again, when they have been perceived to even getting what they want, they hate black people and they're champion, black death, and then they're still whining about it, right? It doesn't even make sense. How pathetic could you be? If we are so downtrodden at the bottom, why wouldn't he be happy with how well his community is doing? Right? If I'm driving around in a luxury vehicle, I'm not going to go get down in the mud and start crying about, look at this dude riding in a bucket. You feel me? He's riding in a limit. He's riding in a little putt-putt. It's like, but you're riding luxury. Why would you care? Why would he care about our birth rates? Why would he care about these abortions when he hates our community? It just doesn't make any sense. And on top of that, they try to play both sides. On one hand, I think there's too many abortions for all of these races. But on one hand, they'll say that these black women are aborting their babies left and right. But then they'll also say that black women are welfare queens with all of these dang babies kids. So which one is it? Are they having a bunch of kids because they're sexually promiscuous, or are they aborting all their kids? Which one is it? And John Cena, one of the dopest, illest, realest with a pen. Let's get back into it, though. Let's listen to this Mayo maniac go on this disgusting tirade.
Part is y'all's boomers are y'all's best generation. Unlike us, white people, boomers are our worst generation. When the white boomers are finally gone, there's going to be a white renaissance happen in this country. The exact opposite is going to happen with black people. When black boomers are gone, the blacks are going to descend into racial chaos. What I mean by that is the blacks are the best generation. They're the last generation that has any humility to them. They're the last generation that are patriotic Americans. And they're the last generation that really just understands like just the American math equation. Like just do these couple things. You're going to be successful. Put your head down and grind. And don't blame everybody else for your problems.
It's a lot of lies that he just told. But one of
It was a lot of lies. So it's ironic, right? He ended with saying, don't blame everybody for your problems. But meanwhile, he's whining to black people. What about black on black crime? What about it? Like, why are you for one, they say we live in a colorblind society and they don't see color. But why do you see color when it comes to crime? Crime is just crime. Crime has no color. Otherwise, we would have to continue. What about white on white crime? Your beloved Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was a victim of white on white crime. An alleged white dude who loved another white trans person shot another white dude in the neck. Allegedly. White on white crime. Russians are white. Ukrainians are white. Blonde hair, blue-eyed white people. There's a current war going on where they're slaughtering each other to the tune of hundreds of thousands. If you take Chicago, Baltimore, St. Louis, Oakland, and name what other predominant black cities that they call shitholes, take those cities, combine the murder rate for the last 15 years, and you won't get the death toll that Ukrainians and Russians have created in only a few years. So what are we really talking about here? Again, all these people, they love to blame black people. Oh my God, it's crime. It's crime. It's like you don't even live next to black dudes. You live in a segregated Lily W enclave. So why are you whining about crime that you're not experiencing? You live in a gated community. There's security. There's cameras and surveillance everywhere. So why are you complaining about black crime that doesn't affect you? How does a black woman aborting their baby? How does that affect a white person? If you are a stable white man and you have a beautiful white woman and you're going to raise and create a beautiful nuclear family, how does a black woman allegedly aborting her baby affect you? If there's some crime in a distant neighborhood where the blacks live and you never go and you're disgusted by even thinking about that neighborhood, so you never go, how is that affecting you? You never go. The property taxes of how your school is funded isn't based on some, O Block in Chicago. So what are you even whining about? The same people that say, hey, you want us to have white guilt, but what they really want you is to have black guilt. They say, hey, you can't hold us responsible for what our ancestors done. Yeah, we can. But then at the same time, if you pop in your collar and you're proud of what your ancestors done, why can't someone hold you accountable? They can't hold you accountable for something that you're proud of. But then if there's a drive-by in Chicago and I say, hey, I didn't know that person, I'm not proud of that, I don't co-sign that. Yeah, but it's your culture. How's it my culture? I've never done that. I don't know the nigga that did that. Yeah, but you still got to answer for it. Fine. If we have to answer for every crusty, musty, dusty nigga that does a drive-by, then y'all have to answer for all school shooters. Drive-bys and slanging crack is our culture, and school shooting, zoophilia, fondling animals, that's your culture, and your entire culture has to answer for it. We'll answer for eating fried chicken and watermelon. We'll answer for that, right? And you got to answer for all you guys kissing dogs in the mouth, right? Now, do all of you do that? Probably not. But all it takes is for one of you to do it, and then I can generalize the whole community. That's the standard that you've set, right? One gangbanger generalizes our entire community. So one pedo in your community generalizes the entire community. If we're going to play these games, then let's play them fully.
the biggest things is he said that the black population will be cut in half by 2075, which is not true. That's what makes this weird. Because if you pay attention, a lot of these people don't care if the statistic is real. They care if it makes us look bad. That's it. If the number makes black men look dangerous or black women look broken, they run with it because it already supports what they wanted to believe. That's not them being smart. That's them trying to sound smart. Somebody will be in a comment section talking crazy about black people, and when they get challenged, they'll throw out some number that they clearly don't understand. They don't know where it came from, what year it's from, what's counted, what's left out, or why the number looks the way it does. But because it sounds official enough, they think they made a point. But no, you're not educated. You're just pressed to repeat anything that makes black people look bad. There's a difference between the two.
This post will get banned. If you see this post, save it and try and watch it again in a week because it's going to get removed. Because somehow factual crime statistics are racist. If I try and say that black people with 85K or more a year are committing over twice the murders as white people making less than 10K, I'm a racist. I'm a bigot. Shout out to Asian people, though. Look at them, bro. They're killing it. Or they're not killing it out there.
So hold on. Let me rewind this screen back. So give me this, right? So first of all, y'all see the screen. So he's lying too. But remember, they love to talk about black and brown, black and brown. Where's the brown people, right? Why aren't they measuring the brown people? They love to talk about minorities. Well, where's the other minority group? They love to say Hispanic is the, fastest growing minority group, which is, non-organic, but, it's an imported minority group largely, right? So where are their statistics? And then you're supposed to believe this because at the bottom it says sources, Bureau of Justice. Well, that's his source. Well, if that's his source, you should be able to easily go to the Bureau of Justice and get the same stats. But most of the time, people don't even do that because someone said something that they agree with. They're pushing an anti-black narrative, and because it is a confirmation bias, then you say, hey, it must be true. Facts aren't racist, bro. But let's just say that these facts were true, right? Let's just say that they were true. What is he hoping to accomplish, right? I'm not racist, bro. I'm just telling you, bro. Blacks got to be stopped, bro. But I'm not racist, bro. I just want to tell you about the violent blacks, bro. It's not racist, bro. Facts aren't racist. It's like, what are you trying to accomplish? If the whole issue is about crime, what solutions is he presenting to mitigate crime? Just making more podcasts. All the people that complain about black on black crime and getting money out of politics and all this stuff, most of their advocacy is largely rhetorical. They make a bunch of podcasts talking, man, this is wrong, bro. This is wrong, bro. Or I don't agree with this. Yeah, but what are you doing about it? And then they just queue up another live stream to talk about the things that they haven't taken action on. If crime was so rampant and blacks are so bad, what are they advocating for? More and more people even being locked up? Okay, fine. There's a bunch of people that are locked up for non-violent drug offenses. Do you think those people should be released? No, we got to lock everybody up. So you want everybody locked up for non-violent offenses, for violent offenses, etc. And then what? Right? If it's supposed to be a so-called cultural issue, how are you changing the culture by continuously making podcasts? They say poverty is the greatest predictor of crime, not culture.
Out there.
Real information should make you ask more questions. But racist people use numbers to avoid asking questions at all. They don't want the full picture. They want a shortcut that they can throw at us so they don't have to deal with history or reality. Because a statistic without context is easy to twist. You can take any number, leave out the full story behind it, and make any group look bad. It lets them say hateful stuff while acting calm. They pretend they're just stating facts when really they already had a problem with black people to begin with. And the crazy part is they think we don't don't notice, but we always do. Because if you really cared about a community's problems, why would a bad number make you happy? That's not concern. That's obsession. Even on my end, I don't go looking for fake statistics about white people. I don't care. Because when it's anybody else, people suddenly understand context. They understand poverty, trauma, and environment. But when it's black people, all of that disappears. Now, one number is supposed to explain millions of people. That's how you know it's not about truth. It's about who they want to blame.
Black crime in America is on the rise. It has been since the civil rights movement. But we were all getting along and prospering and yeah, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, civil rights come and the
So the argument is all over the place. The argument is just a mishmash of arguments. Really, these people have no argument. Anti-blackness is the argument. The argument is inferiority, black inferiority. That's what the argument is. So we're challenging all of these narratives. And you said, whoa, what a curveball. What exactly is a curveball? Could you speak very plainly? And matter of fact, I mean, I'll drop the link because, you know, if you got something that you want to stand on, just speak very clearly. You said, so what you're saying is that you don't really have an argument for me neither. You're making an incoherent comment, and if you don't make a clear comment, then I'm gonna have to get you up out of here. And matter of fact, I'm here. I'm gonna drop the link, so you don't have to play these little goofy games in the chat, and you don't even have to cam up. You know, I mean, I might have to have you at least cam up in the back, but you don't have to cam up on camera. You don't have to play these games. And I want y'all to watch in the chat, right? See if this person continuously chats or if they hit the link. Because if you're making all these little incoherent comments, you have time to hit the link. Because you came in here, you're saying, what is the argument? I've already been going on for an hour and a half. So if you're new here, just listen to the stream. But you're trying to come in here and you want to make yourself be seen. So if you want to be seen, hit the link. The link is just right here, right? Stand on whatever you're talking about. You said the thing is you're not keeping up to the words that you're saying. Well, come up here. Now I get that I be getting trolls, and that's okay. I believe troll lives matter, but I just want the trolls to be intellectually honest. But many of them are intellectually cowards, like this person. I have the link so you can say whatever you need to say. I just asked what your argument is. Okay, so here we go. So now I got to get you up out of here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put you on timeout, and let me just speak to y'all, right? If you want to stand on something and you want to pop it, the link is out there. I'm giving you the opportunity to come and discuss. I'd rather have a discussion, but if you want to debate, we can do that too, right? But don't try to challenge me in the chat knowing that someone like this goofball that attempted to challenge me, you're not intellectually formidable to challenge me, right? Only debate my equals. All others I teach. Dude, you're not my equal intellectually. You're a coward. You're a faceless troll that won't even stand on putting a face, right? You won't even put a picture of yourself. You won't even create an AI version of yourself. So no, you're not formidable enough to challenge me. And if you are, the link is still out there. I'll let you come and you'll have the floor to speak on whatever you think you're speaking on. But don't just come in babbling incoherently. So let's get back into it. I noticed that it's you know, is this the best the high IQs have to offer? Y'all always got smoke until I drop the link, and then you start running like faster than Forrest Gump. But here we have this dude who clearly looks like he comes from an immigrant lineage and whining about black people again. So imagine if this dude had a white wife and is raised in a white nuclear family, why would he care about black people? You don't even live around them.
free at last, free at last. Next thing you know, we can't put a cap on it because racism. Oh no, everyone's racist if they call out this behavior.
I'm not going to sit here and act like the black community doesn't face any problem.
So this whole thing is like, oh, everyone is racist because we call out this behavior. No, you're not racist for calling out the behavior, but why are you calling out something that you have no intention to fix, right? Imagine you're walking through a neighborhood and you're just calling out, oh my God, look at how much trash is on the ground. Are you going to help clean up this neighborhood? No, I just want to talk about how much trash is on the ground. Yeah, but why do you want to do that? Because there's trash on the ground. Do you want to help pick it up? No, I just want to talk about the trash being on the ground. But why though? Because there's trash on the ground. Do you want to help pick it up? No, I just want to talk about it. How stupid did that sound? And that's exactly how stupid these people sound. Let's talk about crime and black crime and black crime. Hey, this is how we mitigate the black crime so that, these youth are not committing these crimes. So they have something, they're gainfully employed, so they learn skills so that they can be more productive citizens in society. No, that's woke, bro. That's DEI. But I thought you said that the issue was black crime. In order to mitigate and eradicate black crime, I need to focus on the black youth. Most of the crime is committed from young males from 18 to 24. So in order for me to mitigate that crime, reduce that crime, eliminate that crime, I need to focus on that demographic. No, that's woke. Well, let crime run amok then. I don't want to hear y'all whining about crime when you've done nothing to it. And many of you guys were engaged in crime. Many of you led to the destruction of your own community. But what have you done to build it? You helped destroy the community. Then you moved away and said, I'm not like that anymore. Yeah, but the remnants of what you tore down is still in place. Why haven't you went back to fix it? You hopping on a podcast saying, I'm not like that anymore. That's not fixing anything. It's another form of intellectual cowardice. They created the system that let them fix it 100, 400 years of crime. Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. And shout out to MD. I don't want to hear about crime. Like, these people are the biggest promoters and promulgators of crime. We're so far behind on the crime stats that we would never be able to catch up to the criminality that they've done. Look at all they shows. All of their shows show a bunch of immorality and criminality, but it's done in a creative, cinematic, artistic way, so you overlook it. Look at Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is rife with degeneracy, rife with immorality, rife with incestuous relationships that are framed as normal, right? You're supposed to be desensitized to it because they did it in 8K and it was a cinematically appealing to you. But incest is still incest. Even if they're acting, they're acting out incest that actually happens. It's a depiction of actual reality. Look at all these people. We was Vikings and shit. Well, what did the Vikings do? Every Viking movie that what were the Vikings do? Show me a movie about Vikings where they were trying to unify each other. And they were unifying to go and pillage someone else's land. That's their culture, right? But you're supposed to look at Vikings as what? Some immoral people because you liked Ragnar Lothbrok. Ragnar Lothbrok was leading his people on crusades to grape, pillage, and plunder. But because you like the cinematics of it all, yay, let's cheer on Vikings. Okay. So who really are the violent people, with the disgusting culture?
But I'm also not going to sit here and say that black crime is on the rise because there's nothing to back that claim up. And the way they use these fake statistics against black men is obvious. They want black men to be seen as dangerous before we even do anything. They'll take one number, leave out the context, and act like every black man is guilty by default. That's why we don't always get treated like individuals. We get treated like a warning sign. But when somebody from their group does something, now they remember how individuality works. Now it's don't generalize. But when it's black people, suddenly it represents everybody, right? That's the game they try to play. And they do the same thing with black women. They use fake stats and stereotypes to make black women look angry, difficult, undesirable, or broken. Then when black women defend themselves, they act like they're proving the stereotype. But no, you just disrespected somebody and they responded. That's not data. That's what happens when people get tired of being disrespected. They create the problem, then use the reaction as proof.
So think about this, right? If there's one black dude from Oakland, Chicago, St. Louis, one black dude does a drive-by and unfortunately unalives one person. One black person does a drive-by because he's in a gang and he unalives one other black person. Somehow the entire black community has to answer for that. And this speaks to the community who raised them and all this stuff. Meanwhile, Do y'all remember that guy? Jeffrey Dahmer? Jeffrey Dahmer, infamously known as the Milwaukee Cannibal. He unalived a total of 17 men and boys between 78 and 91. Is this a representation of the entire white community, but specifically the white male population? What is worse? One black gang member kills one other black gang member. That's black culture. Jeffrey Dahmer kills 17 men and boys and keeps a bunch of black penises as trophies. Suddenly that's not white culture? No, he's just an individual. The gang members aren't individuals. That's black culture. But Jeffrey Dahmer isn't white culture. Remember, they were kind of propping him up and somewhat infantilizing him and treating him like a rock star, to be honest, right? Even with the whole movies and stuff, they did a way to still humanize him in a way that is visually appealing. It's cinematic art so that you don't see him for the heinous, disgusting monster that he is. And here we go again. So now, since, you know, whenever you popping it about the real stuff, we got the trolls and stuff, but the link is out there, and I'm gonna go ahead and time this person out because I know this person is not serious. So I'm gonna put you in a timeout. And this person, but per capita, will hit the link. Per capita, when I drop the link and tell y'all to hit the link, none of you cowards hit the link. You guys are always in the chat whining like moist, whiny hoes. I dropped the link and you won't stand on nothing. You're not masculine. You're moist and pathetic. And I see why, you know, there's a crisis why some of the women is turning into carpet munchers, because there's a lot of goofball males out there that's rather pathetic. But shout out to all the masculine men out there. I appreciate y'all. We all we got, we all we need. But the moronic, moist maniacs, yeah, we got to do something about them. It's an epidemic. But hola, mi amiga, Tara Sanchez. I appreciate you. And you said it's most definitely dub culture. Dub males will violate a tree. And there are statistics that some people try to say. Okay, let me just ask y'all this. There are some stats about a particular demographic that is known to penetrate and violate animals. They have terms for it: bestiality, zoophilia. Which demographic do you think is most responsible for that? They have some XXX sites where some girls are being pumped and penetrated by horses, by dogs. What group, per capita and raw numbers, do you think is most represented? And then once you figure out what group that is, tell me, is it their culture? There's a bunch of videos. If y'all don't think so, hit me behind the scenes and I will send y'all the videos. Obviously, I can't play it now. There's videos of people that like to get peed and pooped on. They like for somebody to eat a triple bean burrito that got refried black and pinto frijoles. They eat bean pies, bean salads, and bean burritos, and then they give someone a brown shower. Y'all talking about R. Kelly pissing on people? Well, that was the golden shower. Some people were getting a brown shower. Whose culture is that? I'm just saying. Keep in mind, be respectful to the host in the chat to avoid a timeout or block. And see, I do believe trolls are matter. Troll lives matter. So I'm not just into blocking, but you got to come with some level of sophistication, especially if you're trying to challenge me intellectually. We can have a debate, but we don't need to. We can just have a discussion where we can try to figure out each other's perspectives. But if you're too cowardly to hit the link, first of all, you're too cowardly to even put a face picture. You won't even create an AI version of yourself. You're too pathetic to put a face. a picture of your face or your identity, and you don't want to hit the link, so you don't want people to see you, you don't want people to hear your voice, but you want to just troll in the chat. Nah, we're not doing that. You can have a contrarian view, but it must come from an intellectual point of view. Yeah, animals and ladies too. Per capita, dub males are overrepresented in rape and pedo crimes. Yeah, they love to talk about per capita, you know, and forget per capita. What about the raw numbers? Because they want you to try to say, well, per capita, it's a real representation of crime because it tells you about the rate of crime. Well, fine. Tell me the rate of crime, and I also want to know the raw numbers as well. And hold on, it looks like we've been joined by an illustrious guest, but hold on. Before I gotta make sure, because I know my boy, he did have some issues with someone trying to P-bomb him. So I have to ask before, Tara.
Who the
Yeah.
hell are you?
Yes,
Is
it's Tara.
Okay. Okay.
I will show my face even. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
what I wanted to say before my phone dies is about the whole bestiality thing. So I'm Hispanic, and they have some things going on down across the border as well, stuff like that, right? So what I figure in my mind is it goes back to the Romans. That's how I believe.
Yeah, and the
And
Greeks and stuff. Mhm.
because that's
And
unfortunately
actually,
a part
a
of
lot of the Romans
us.
in the Greek statues, they had a lot of the kind of
Right.
homosexual
Yes.
presenting statues and stuff like that as well.
Yes.
But my bad, you got the floor.
No, it's your channel. But yeah, so that's what it takes me back to in my mind. Like that's where it all come from, because they came eventually. That's who came here and colonized the Americas. You know, the Romans, they turned into the English. You see what I'm saying? People need to really read up on their histories and things like that, how these ancient peoples just merged on up or down or around. You know what I'm saying? And it all comes together. That's where that shit comes from. Sorry, my language, but that's where that comes from. Definitely. There's things in books, old pictures, just like you said, statues, all that stuff. And that's where I believe it comes from.
Yeah, I mean, there's even a saying too, in like if you're engaging in sexual activities, some people saying, hey, do you do Greek? And you know what that is, right?
Have no clue.
Okay. If somebody says, hey, Tara, do you do Greek? They're saying, do you take it in the butthole?
Okay.
Where would that terminology
I
come
see.
from?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. If not from there. Right. That's crazy. Never heard that one. But yeah, that's where I believe it comes from. And
Yeah,
that's
like I'm gonna look into what you said, but look into what that said. Now, just to be
yeah,
clear, you
yeah.
know, that doesn't mean because people try to like, you know, they try to harp on very particular language. It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
every person of that
No.
particular community is
Right.
like that. What we're just
Right.
saying is that it is, because it never gets talked about. It's just swept under the
Yeah.
rug, and we're saying
Right.
like, no, this is a true sentiment that is even still pervasive today.
For sure. For sure. Because it's the Latinized stuff. That's what I believe. All that coming from the
Yeah.
Rome.
And see, a lot of times, like, people don't realize, unfortunately, like, when you really get into it, like, the concept of being Latin and Latino is more of a kind of bastardized
Yeah.
ethnicity, right? Because when
Right.
you look, because people say, hey, I speak Spanish, right? And they try to associate it with tacos, vaquero,
Right.
and all this stuff. But it's like Spanish comes from Spain, and Spain
Right.
is in the heart of where?
Yeah,
Europe,
thank you. Europe. Yes. We
which
had
means
languages
Spaniards are
here
European.
before that. Yeah.
Correct. Which
Yeah.
sometimes people it's a form of one anti-blackness, but also anti-indigeneity,
Yeah.
because you're
For
willing to
sure.
strip whatever indigenous language and culture you had to adopt. I'm
Mhm.
Spanish. No, you're not. Like, do you know how Go over to Spain and try to tell them that you're Spanish. They're like, huh? No, because there's
Yeah.
no race called
Mm-mm.
Spanish or Latino or Hispanic. Like, yes, that is your cultural heritage, your ethnic identity, but there is a lot of
Mm-hmm.
colorism. There is a lot of
Oh yeah.
delineation. There's a lot of purity tests. Just as the whole concept
Mm-hmm.
of a WASP, a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. They don't think
Mm-hmm.
that they're the same level of whiteness as some
Right.
Slovenian white person, right? They may acknowledge that, yes, we're both
Correct. Which goes.
racialized as white, but no,
Yeah.
we're not the same. And I'm in California, so it's like
Me
I,
too.
I
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to both populations, right? I'm cool with, I'm a humanitarian. I love everybody. But
Right.
the Mexican people I know, they told me that they don't get along with El Salvadorians. I asked the person, I
Mm.
said, why? And he said, well, they're dirty, and they just went on it like a
Wow.
tirade. Yeah, and that's what they said. And then I talked to an
Damn.
El Salvadorian woman, and she said, she had beef with Mexicans because of like the colorism. She was a darker El Salvadorian. She said they would call her names and all
Mm-hmm.
this other stuff. But when they put you under this Hispanic umbrella, it
Right.
pretends as if everyone is the same just because they called you that. But no, and
Right.
I always say this, and that's what they've done to black people. Like, I'm not the same as a Jamaican or a Senegalese
Right.
person. It doesn't mean that we hate them. It just means that we're different, and
Right.
it's a beautiful thing for us to highlight those differences and still come together, because
Sure.
I don't want to go to Brazil expecting to get a Mexican style taco and say, hey,
Sure.
y'all are both Latinos, so why can't I get the same type of taco? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, because some people
Totally
in Brazil,
different.
they're like, we don't even eat tacos like that, right?
Nah.
And
Mm-mm.
my
Mm-mm.
friend's grandma from Mexico, she hated tacos and burritos. She was like,
Sure. Right.
she said our culture is so much broader and richer.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, that's more of an Americanized thing where they kind
Yes.
of fixate on tacos, and so she hated
Yes.
making them. She would make them because that's what the company liked, but she literally
Mm-hmm.
despised it. So I think
Right.
it's good to have those conversations, because that is the beauty of the appreciating, because Mexican culture is very rich. I don't
Yeah.
want it to be. And when you said a Hispanic, which ethnic identities of Hispanic do you represent?
Mexican and Puerto Rican.
And one of my best friends is Puerto Rican, right? And
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
that too, right?
Right.
Those
Mm-hmm.
are two distinct different cultures,
Very
right?
different.
It's
Mm-hmm.
very different, you know what I mean? And to try to lump them all together and pretend as they're the
Yeah.
same just because you want to be intellectually lazy, I don't want to support that. Because if we do
Sure.
support that, we have to do that with everyone. We have to say that Japanese people are no different than Chinese people because they both have slanted eyes and they may look similar. That would be highly offensive, right? Because there are some
Sure.
Puerto Ricans that look Mexican. There's some
Yeah. Oh
Mexicans that
yeah.
look Honduran. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to assume you're from Honduras just based on your look.
Right.
How about I ask you and then you explain,
Right.
so that we can enjoy and appreciate something like Cinco de Mayo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mexicans celebrate that. My El
Mm-hmm.
Salvadorians friend, they're like, I don't really celebrate Cinco de Mayo. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so but when people just hear terms like Latino and Hispanic, they think that it's just an umbrella term that lumps everyone together,
Right.
which I get the concept of it, but it does serve to like kind of
Mm-hmm.
ethnically erase people as
It
well.
does. It does. Even so, the thing that, yeah, we all speak Spanish, but before that, we didn't. People on Puerto Rico Island didn't speak Spanish. People in this region
Yeah,
of
there was a bunch
Mexico
of
didn't speak
Tainos
Spanish.
over there, right?
Yeah.
And
Just as
that's
there
not
are
the
many
language they were
African
speaking.
languages, there was many American languages, what you call America.
And even Mexico was a slave colony, so there's
Mm-hmm.
many Mexicans.
Yeah.
One of the first presidents was actually an
Yes.
Afro Mexican, and then he actually was
Mm-hmm.
assassinated by the Blancamiento ruling class. So people
Mm-hmm.
don't always talk about that as well. It's like,
Right.
just as well as there's black people with European ancestry, there's many Mexicans and Puerto
Yeah.
Ricans, like literally almost all of them to varying degrees have some level of African ancestry,
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
Puerto Rico, actually both of them, Puerto Rico and Mexico, were both slave colonies as well.
Mm-hmm.
So You have to say all
Yes,
that in
sir.
context, because it wasn't just like the British slavery, it was the Spanish and the Portuguese as well.
Portuguese.
Those,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they were actually really the original slave
Right?
owners, which is why the Spanish language and culture is so deeply rooted into Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole concept of being Latin was trying to say that, hey, like, you guys will be like, in harsh terms, like our bastard children. You won't be
Mm-hmm.
Anglo, but we can
Right?
Latinize you, right? You know what I mean? You
Right.
won't be part of the British power structure. You won't
Sure.
you'll be a European bastard, right? Because that's why you speak
Mm-hmm.
Spanish. Spanish comes from Spain, which is
Yeah.
in the heart of Europe. So they
Mm-hmm.
convince you that you're something other. They say that you're other than the Negro, but you're not quite white, and
Right?
then they can bestow whiteness based
Mm-hmm.
on based on proximity and skin tone, which is the concept
Yes.
of blancamiento, mejoró la raza, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And even now, there's a bunch of dark Mexicans in Mexico that are,
Mm-hmm.
kind of being treated differently just because
Sure.
of how dark they are. Telemundo, like I've seen so many dark, beautiful Mexicans. I'm like, to me, most of the
Mm-hmm.
Mexicans I've seen, the finest ones were darker. But if you watch
Mm-hmm.
Telemundo and Univision, they're
Yeah,
all
they
like
showed
very
them.
like
Mm-hmm.
Cameron Diaz. It's like
Yeah.
not to say that I don't want to see that level of beauty. I'm just saying show the
Sure. Yeah.
balance.
Yeah. Right.
But
Yeah,
what
for
do you think
sure.
about anything I just said?
I agree with mostly everything, and to add to that, just as black people come in all different shades, so do Hispanics. You know what I mean? Even white folks. You got some have freckles, you got some's a little tan, you got some super white. You know what I'm saying? I just don't know, understand why just people just so hung up on this shit after all these years. Like, come on. It's like
No,
really detrimental to the whole world, not just America.
No, I agree. I think that if we were able, because as human beings, we share 99.9% of DNA, right? So it
Right.
would behoove all of us to just get along. I think that there's a world where I do believe that we should hold on to our ethnic cultural sovereignty,
Mm-hmm.
right? I want to know, because like I said, not every group does things the same, right? The way we
Right.
make our fried chicken is not the same everyone makes it. Some people make jerk chicken, some people make
Mm-hmm.
lemon chicken, orange chicken. It's a way that we can all enjoy each other's
Yes.
culture, but not always try to step on each other's foot. I think
Yes.
that there is, a way where, that we can represent for our ethnic identity, but not at the expense
Mm-hmm.
of other groups. And right
Sure.
now it's trying to, here, let me compete with this other group, and then if you don't want to compete, it's framed as, oh, well, you don't want to work hard enough, or you're just shying away from competition. But it's like,
Yeah.
nah, it's like, why are we competing like for the crumbs, right? The
Right.
people at the top,
Yeah, we need to
they
be fighting them. Yeah.
correct, and we're not going to be able to fight them if you have derogatory slurs for each other, or we
Right.
don't want to respect each other's cultural boundaries and simple things like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
things that we can do where we may have to just suck it up, right? Like,
Yep.
you may be used to going around calling women bitches and hoes, but then you're around some respectable women and they say, honestly, I don't feel comfortable with that language. Could you,
Yep.
just tighten up that language? It's the same thing. You may be used to saying the N word around some people and they say, that offends me. Could you not say that? Like, let's start
Mm-hmm.
just respecting each other cultural boundaries. Some
Yeah.
people may think it's funny to make a taco joke or Puerto Rican
Mm-hmm.
joke and say,
Yeah.
hey, look, bro, maybe you didn't mean it like that, but that offended me. And I
Mm-hmm.
apologize. I won't make a joke like that. I was culturally insensitive. I think if we are able to listen to one another in that regard, things could start to move forward as well, rather
Yep.
than just, well, I grew up around black people so I can say the N word. I grew up around
Yeah.
women and rap music so I can call them a B word, right? Well, my baby mama is Mexican and she didn't support ISO, it's like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
let's just try to have a nuance. It doesn't mean we're going to agree all the time, but I think if we are looking at, like, how could we help each other more, right? Like, how could
Right.
we have how could we have these more multicultural businesses? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
really going to come down to breaking bread with each other in
Yes.
economics. That's all it's going to come
Yes.
down to. Because if you're making money with someone and you're succeeding with them, then you don't see them as adversarial, right? And
Yeah.
we've always been, much to our detriment, we have been very inclusive, we've been very open. So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
just time for, other people to just get on that page, and for us to kind of clean up whichever, because all communities have issues, right?
Yeah.
I.e. the Mexican cartel, the
Right.
coyotes, we have
Mm-hmm.
black gangs and all this stuff. So all of our respective communities, none of us are angels, but while we're cleaning
Right.
that stuff
Sure.
up, we don't need to disparage other groups. We don't
Yep.
need to hate on Latinos. Latinos don't need to hate on blacks and Asians and stuff. We need to really be trying to come together, right?
Yeah, that's
And
right.
I'm not as optimistic, as I
Yeah.
could be. I do see it from a pessimistic
Yeah.
lens, only based on, but I'm not willing to, just accept that, right?
Accept defeat. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, yeah, because it's like I get it. It's an uphill battle, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
then if it's not us, Tara, we're leaving it to the younger, more
Yeah.
less educated youth. And
Mm-hmm.
most people, their brains don't fully form until they're after 25. By
Right.
25 they may have got locked up, they
True.
may have
Mm-hmm.
did some stuff. So it's really up to us to bridge the gap and just say, whatever we were used to for these past
Mm-hmm.
decades, we're gonna have to pave and charter a new
Right.
path forward. You know what I mean? We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to suck some things up, we're gonna have to
Mm-hmm.
swallow our pride, but it's in the name of the betterment of society. It's
Yes.
enriching the society. Because as well as, like, I expect Latinos and Mexicans to be for La Raza, right? Just as
Yeah.
well as we're
Right.
going to be that. But I'm not for my
Sure.
community at the expense of the Mexican community. I don't want to be like, yeah, I
Yeah.
want to see the
Right.
black community succeed so we can crap on the Mexicans. No, I want to
Right.
see a thriving Mexican community, a Puerto Rican community, a black community, because it's enough for all of these communities to
Mm-hmm.
thrive, and,
Yeah.
you know,
It's enough for
um,
all of us if we take it from them. That's the thing. You know?
correct. It's more of us than
Yeah.
them, but
Yeah.
they've just convinced you that, hey, your
Mm-hmm.
neighbor is your enemy, and
Right.
maybe you do have a neighbor that's an enemy, but you
Sure.
live in an entire neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Most of your neighborhood supports you, and they say
Yep.
love. I always say this. They say you're supposed to love thy neighbor, but how could
Yeah.
you love thy neighbor if you don't even know your neighbor? You're not
Sure.
gonna love something you don't know. So they used
Mm-hmm.
to have old movies where people would go to the houses and knock on
Right.
the door. Hey,
Right.
Tara, welcome to the neighborhood. Here's a pie. It
Right.
sounds funny, but like
No,
that could go
yeah,
a long
yeah.
way.
It could. Yeah. Just a gesture. Have some decency, some respect for others. That's all. Because they keep pushing these tribal wars on us. That's is it's bad. The white, the
No, it
black,
really
the
is bad.
brown. Mm-hmm.
No, and it's very detrimental. And who does
Yeah.
it serve? Because like
Mm-hmm.
right now, when
Damn.
so yeah, and some of the greatest people I know are of a Latino descent. And, I say
Mm-hmm.
that loosely because there's, various cultures and
Sure.
ethnicities within there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, and they've told me, sometimes, hey, their family won't approve of them dating a black person and all this
Mm-hmm.
other type of stuff. And those types of underlying sentiments, they just have to go. I'm not saying that, hey, if you're a Mexican, I don't think it's wrong if you want your daughter to date another Mexican, right? But if you say
Mm-hmm.
it's okay for your daughter to date a white and an Asian, but just not black, now that's
Right.
something
Right.
different, right? So then that's going to be a hindrance for us to come together, right? Because people don't want to come together and then fight like we're fighting to get ICE out, but then you're like, yeah, but go into your segregated black neighborhood, like, huh? Like, so we can't even live next to each other. We can't interact with each other,
Right.
only when it's transactional. So I'm just saying, like, we just got to be able to respect each other's cultural boundaries, but also understand how it looks from the outside and the outside looking in, you know what I mean? Because I think the majority of the communities, right? I think the majority of Latinos are cool with blacks. The majority of blacks are cool
Yeah.
with Latinos, but there is
Right.
a problematic contingent that, allows things to fester up. And since
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't get talked about in a reasonable
Right.
manner, it's always like a mudslinging contest.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in many occasions, there's
Mm-hmm.
usually no resolved or no conflict resolution.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because there's no
Very much so.
benefit to you like fighting with any group, right? There's no benefit for
Mm-mm.
you warring with blacks and warring with
No.
Latinos. It's like that. Okay, you fighting with Latinos is not the reason that gas prices are high, right?
Right.
You blaming George Floyd is
Right.
not the reason you can't afford a house. It's not you couldn't
Mm-mm.
afford a house before BLM. Right. So you can't say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, what about BLM and they burnt the city? It's like, bro, you live in Utah. There were no
Sure,
cities
right.
burnt down. You know what I mean? So people try to fixate on things that don't really matter
Affect
to
them,
them.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it takes away
Sure.
from the times that you can build. Right? If
Mm-hmm.
if you're a black person, right, and you know that, hey, somebody wants to know, um, hey,
Mm-hmm.
maybe this person wants to be a athlete, right? There's certain things
Mm-hmm.
that, hey, here, let me help this person, right? This person wants to learn about athletics, let me help them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing if you're a Hispanic person and I was like, man, I would really love to know how y'all make those authentic tacos. It's
Mm-hmm.
like what are you like losing by collaborating in those
Right.
instances? I think a lot of times people see it as a form of cultural infringement, or as if you're going to lose something. Oh, if I help the
Mm-hmm.
Latinos with this, then they're going to take over. Or I don't want the blacks to learn this because then they'll try to take over. It's like, why do you have that
Mm-hmm.
mentality that
Mm-hmm.
someone's trying to take over? Maybe they're just trying to collaborate with you so
Right.
we can expand and grow together. But this whole dog eat dog
Mm-hmm.
mentality where everyone is in a fight for
Mm-hmm.
resources, it's like, no,
Yeah.
we have to gatekeep the blacks because we can't let them take
Mm-hmm.
over. No, I don't want a Latino over here because then it's like, and it's just kind
Yeah.
of fueling that where people like the tribalism, it
Yeah, that's what
becomes,
I was gonna say. It goes back
yeah,
back to that. That's what they want us to do, and that's how we were treated by them. So it's like just in here to be so defensive.
yeah, and that's unfortunate. And I do want to give a shout out to the chat. Salute to Big O for stopping by. Let me see what else they said. You said it is Taco Tuesday. I'm
Mhm.
probably about to have that y'all put in my head. Hey, it is Taco Tuesday. I'm not gonna lie. Shout out to shout out to my Latino brethren, because I'm definitely gonna have some tacos today. You gonna whip up some tacos today, Tara, or what?
No, I had already made some pasta.
Oh, that's nice. I know, like, y'all probably be getting so tired of the tacos.
Yeah.
And my boy Braxton says there's Peruvians who look Mexican. And this is why I'm saying, like, simply just calling someone Latino or Hispanic and
Mm-hmm.
going based off their looks, right? Because a lot of people do this as well. Most Latinos, because the largest Hispanic ethnic group in the country are Mexicans. So if
Uh-huh.
someone sees a Latino, they automatically call them Mexican. But it's
Right.
like, this dude's Bolivian, this dude's
Right.
Honduran, So there is that too. That's why I don't, I think that those terms should be used in certain contexts, because they do
Right.
serve to kind of ethnically erase people, because I want to know about the Mexican culture. And then if I'm looking at someone from Argentina and saying, oh, hey, do you like this tacos birria? You know what I mean? It's like, that's
Right.
not part of my culture where you're Latino, you know what I mean? And then he says there's
Uh-huh.
some white people who look mixed, and some white people can pass for being Middle Eastern or mixed with Middle
Right.
Eastern. Well, that's the whole concept of why people
Yeah.
say that race is a social construct, because
Mm-hmm.
it's fluid. This is why people focus more on their ethnic, cultural, and national identity more so than race, because all those people you listed earlier, Romans, they weren't considered
Yeah.
whites. Now they are. Greeks weren't considered white. Now they are. Greeks weren't considered white. Now they are. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah. But I'm gonna play a little bit more of the video. Is your
Yeah.
phone still good before I die?
I think I am like 17%. I'm gonna get up. So thank you. Appreciate
Okay,
you.
cool. Yeah, it's all good.
I finally had a
You
chance to talk with you.
No, I was shocked. I was like, "Oh, snap." And then you do got to come on, because the other thing too, like, people often talk at communities rather than
Uh-huh.
to communities. And I do want to actually, because like I truly am like a humanitarian, so I get a lot of
And
support.
me too,
Some of my
yeah.
largest supporters are white. I'd be shocked because I'd be kind of popping
Right.
it a little bit reckless, but at the same time, a lot of this stuff is, a little bit over the top, just because sometimes that's what you got to say just to spark a
Right.
sensible conversation, because people want to see the drama and all this stuff. Because if you come out too intellectually astute, then it gets considered boring, right? So you do got to kind of
Yeah.
spice it up a little bit just to get the engagement. But yeah, I do appreciate your perspective, and I do
Yes.
want you to
Thank
come back and
you.
we can have
Oh,
a
for
broader
sure.
discussion basically
Mm-hmm.
on how we can provide solutions more so than just the finger pointing at
Right.
black people bad, Latinos bad. It's like, because none of us are bad. Like, we're all just human beings, like we're emotional
Yep.
creatures, right? So
We
it's
are just
like,
trying to get by. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, I believe we can all help each other do that. But yeah, you all
Mm-hmm.
good over here, Tara, so you can
Thank
stop
you.
by at any time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Yep, thank you.
Bye-bye.
So that was the lovely Tara Sanchez. She came through, wasn't expecting, you know what I mean? But we gonna get right back into it. And Sincere is still in here, so I appreciate the sensational still rocking out. And Sincere, are you gonna go live earlier? And Big O said, "What you cooking?" If you smell what Sincere's cooking, what you over there whipping, Sincere? And let me get a plate. Can I come get a plate? You said that sounds nice and all, but in reality, it's everyone for themselves type world. Other groups are on their own now. FBAs has always mainly been on their own. Well, that's why I told her that I look at it from a more pessimistic view. However, I do hold an optimistic outlook. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but I still hold optimism. It's the same thing with reparations, right? I'm always going to stomp for reparations, right? But if you think that it's going to happen, I mean, if you look at the way things are looking, it's easy to have a pessimistic view, but it's a debt that's owed. So I'm still going to have an optimistic outlook that eventually we'll get it at some point, even if it's, when I'm long and buried into the dirt. If the future generations get it, I'll be good with that. You know what I mean? But if I have a pessimistic view, then I'll never fight for it ever. And if I have a pessimistic view that, hey, nobody will ever come to our aid and nobody will ever be an ally, then, we'll get that. But I think we need to be more of an ally to ourselves rather than try to rely on external allies. However, I don't think that we need to discount individuals, because I do believe there are a multitude of individual allies. It's just we have no collective allies. But, we still got a lot of our own people to get on code more so before we before we fixate on people externally. But I'm all for working with other groups as well too. There's certain things that other groups could teach you, other groups that can put you on to, not that you just don't know no better. It's just you may not be in the position to learn or to extract that particular resource, skill, or information. So let me play a little bit more of this and then I will pivot to the final story. But essentially, I was discussing how to lie and mislead with statistics, and I was joined by an illustrious guest, Tara Sanchez. So we're going to get right back into it.
That's what happens when people get tired of being disrespected. They create the problem, then use the reaction as proof.
Stay to the right, you stay to the right.
Can you please just go to the other side
No.
of the sidewalk?
Could
What
you
is your
please?
problem?
I am on the right side of the. I'm
No,
on the
you're
correct
not.
side.
No,
of the
you're
sidewalk.
not. What are you, a fucking agent? Get the fuck on, bro. Walk on the other side. What is your problem?
I don't have a problem.
You do have a problem. You see me walking and walk right in front of me. White people and they fucking entitlement. Y'all got a fucking problem.
It's a racial thing now.
Oh, yes, it is. Because like, you see me minding my business with my headphones in, just walking,
On
minding
the
my
wrong
business.
side of the sidewalk.
It's not a specific side of the fucking sidewalk you gotta walk on,
have a
boy.
driver's license?
What the fuck wrong with
Do
you?
you have a driver's
Yes,
license?
I have a driver's license.
What
huh?
side of the street do you drive on?
It don't matter.
Right side
It
or the
doesn't
left side?
matter. It does not matter. This is, I can walk wherever the fuck I want to walk. I can yell whenever the fuck I want to yell. Y'all have a fucking entitlement problem.
No,
it's a whole sidewalk.
Mirror,
Why the fuck do you gotta walk on the same side that I'm walking on and try to make me feel intimidated and walk on the other side?
I wish somebody would have showed me this table sooner. I mean, look at this. $3,000.
That pattern's old, bro. Because these fake statistics are not just numbers to them. They're excuses. Excuses to dismiss us. Excuses to disrespect us. And that's why they hold on to them so tightly. Because once fake numbers fall apart, they have nothing left to hide behind. That's why they get mad when you ask where the number came from. And the moment you bring up context, they try to move to a different argument. Because the point was never to be honest or accurate. The point was to keep the stereotype alive. They'll call black people emotional, but they're the ones attached to fake numbers they never even check. They'll call black people biased, but only trust numbers that tell them what they want to hear. And it's pathetic, but fake numbers give racists something they really need: cover. They don't want to say, I hate black people, because that sounds too obvious. So instead, they just say, I'm looking at numbers. But no, you're not. You're looking for an excuse. Because people who actually care about truth don't only care about facts when the facts make black people look bad. They don't leave out context on purpose. And they don't get excited when they think they found a reason to hate on an entire group. So no, this is not about intelligence. It's not logic. And it's not just them being honest.
Yeah, no wonder 50% of the black population in America grow up without a father figure. It just screams the answer right in your face. There is no way we can be this retarded.
But maybe whites are a bit smarter than blacks. You don't think about that? You know, they always say, oh, look, whites have all this power and all, you know. Well, maybe because whites were more competent. Well, how is it they organize society better than the black people do?
I mean, black people.
So again, you heard what he said. Whites are more incompetent and whites are better at organizing society. And see, this is the pathetic nature of the so-called high IQs, right? The high IQ hooligans is what I like to call them. So he said, whites organize society. So if you organize society, that means that you guys allegedly are the construction team of the society, that you guys are running. You are the authority of said system, said society. So then when people blame them, they say, why y'all trying to make us have white guilt? It ain't about white guilt. It's about accountability. Y'all love that word accountability. Who are we to hold accountable? If somebody is running a company and they are the majority owner of the company and the company goes to sugar honey iced tea, who are you going to blame? You are the CEO of the company. You are the owner and the founder of the company. So if the company tanks, we blame the founder. You don't try to blame some people that was investing in the stock market. You blame the founder and the owner of the company. They love to say, we founded this country. This land wasn't stolen. It was conquered. Okay, fine. You founded it. You conquered it. It's yours now. This is a white Christian nation. So if it's a white Christian nation, that means that it's run by white Christians. So when it's time to blame something, then shouldn't we blame the white Christians? No. You have to blame BLM. What power does BLM have? And they always talk about, well, BLM stands for buying large mansions. Okay, cool. BLM bought large mansions. Is that the reason why you can't afford a mansion? You can't afford a house because of BLM? Gas prices are through the roof because of BLM? There's a bunch of sick, twisted pedos in the Epstein file. Was that because of George Floyd and BLM? I mean, who are we kidding here? And then all of these people talking about, hey, we civilized this society, right? Like Tara Sanchez is saying, we civilized the society. They say they civilized some people by starving them out, by slaughtering over 1 million buffalo so people didn't have a food source. They slaughtered people. They castrated people. They violated vulnerable women and children, forcibly penetrated them. They took them as wives, concubines, and human traffic slaves. And this is what they call civilization. Watch all the Viking movies. They'll call that civilization. Are y'all watching the new House of the Dragons? Have you watched the Game of Thrones? The Lannisters thought that they civilized people. Daenerys Targaryen was going around civilizing people. This is what you've been socially engineered and indoctrinated to believe, that violating someone in a very heinous and a barbarous manner is somehow civilized. Okay, fine. You civilized us with all your barbarism. It still goes back to you being in control. And if you're in control, then that means you are to blame. You can't be on the owner of a football team. Your team doesn't win a championship and you say it's because of the water boy. It's because someone yelled an epithet in the stands. It's like, are you still the owner of the team? Does the buck stop with you? So this is rather pathetic what these high Q hooligans are espousing. We hate each other. Why should someone else respect us if we don't respect ourselves? Now, Trayon, hit the link. Otherwise, I'm going to have to get you up out of here because I just don't have time for it. Because matter of fact, you talking about we hate each other. It's like, this sounds like some tether talk. I'm going to keep it real. This sounds like a tether tirade. We hate each other.
Who is we? Who is we?
No, we love each other. Why should someone respect us if we don't respect ourselves? Yeah, this sounds, it's either a tether tirade or a buck broken babbling bozo. Because this doesn't even make any sense. Mexican cartel members are killing other Mexicans. There's no Mexican saying, if we don't respect ourselves, why should anyone else respect us? There's Mexican cartels slaughtering other Mexicans. Not only that, they're human trafficking other Mexican girls. What does that have to do with the rest of the Mexican population? So because the cartel is slaughtering other Mexicans, then what? Mexicans shouldn't have respect for themselves. If somebody commits a crime, a black person commits a crime on another black person, well, since he didn't respect us, then no one should respect us. It's like, you sound like very like, I don't know, bro. This is a low IQ comment. Hit the link, bro. We are the majority neighbors of each other. No, actually, we're not, because a lot of these communities are mixed communities. It's not just a bunch of majority black neighborhoods. It's not. And what neighborhood do you live in? Hit the link, because all these people talking about we this and we that. Okay, well, what neighborhood do you live in? I can guarantee you don't live in a majority black neighborhood. And if you do live in one, you've done nothing to clean it up. Otherwise, you would be talking about that. You hopping on with some African AI photo talking about we hate each other. Well, no, we don't. Nigga, I don't know you and you don't know me. So do you hate me? Do you hate me because we hate each other? And if we don't, then why are you saying goofy shit like that, bruh? Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, New Jack City. I don't watch Power. I don't watch Love and Hip Hop. And hey, Trayon, especially since you won't hit the link.
And you know what, nigga? You acting like a little bitch right now. You acting like a little bitch right now, nigga. Man, fuck that. I ain't letting that shit ride.
Since you love Menace to Society so much, it's like, come on, bruh. You in Jacksonville, Picketttville, it's like, I don't know, bruh. Like, you don't really sound like you from the lineage. And if you are, man, you got a lot of tap dancing in you, bro. You got a lot of stap and fetch it. I'm not Mexican. Yeah, you definitely ain't foundational. You said, listen to your response to me. Yeah, I'm responding to you because this is part of our culture. We roast. I don't hate you. First of all, I don't know you. And it sounds like you're very fragile emotionally, bro. It's like nothing to take. And matter of fact, my bad, Trayon, since you are that triggered by what I said, since you're that triggered, hey, Trayon.
Talo. Sorry.
Sorry. And like Terrace, yeah, big O, definitely, bro. Did somebody call you an African booty scratcher when you was young, bro? We don't even use that term anymore, bro. Did someone call you a tether? It's like, bro, why are you triggered? If you was from the lineage in the community, you know that we roast and you know that we love each other, right? Black people having conflict with each other doesn't mean we hate each other. So when you say we hate each other, no, you got to speak for yourself, bruh. Don't try to project your hatred and your self-loathing on the entire community. And you say you want to fix us. You can't fix us going around, what about black on black crime? That's not fixing us. Still, I want to know, what have you done about crime? You whining in comment section is not going to fix us, bro. It's just not. You said, I'm not bothered by your comments. I'm commenting. It's funny, bro. They always do this little goofy stuff, bro. They comment, you reply to their comment. Man, you're bothered by my comments. No, I'm reacting to your comment. You know what that's called? It's called a rebuttal. It's called a retort. I don't even know you. You're a faceless, suspected tether troll account. So no, there's nothing to be bothered by. I'm responding to your comments. I'm not even hyped up. You feel me? You're the one who won't even hit the link, bruh. Say what you got to say and say it with your full chest. Again, he's talking about, again, bro, hit the link or I'm gonna have to time you out, bro. I'm finna drop the link right now because like you're going on your little tether tirade. Or you doing the Sambo shuffle. So one more again, I'm dropping the link. When is the last time you spoke up about black on black crime? No, forget speaking up. What have you done about black on black crime? All you've done was create an AI profile and hop on. Like, come on, bro. The link is right above you, bro. And like I said, bro, you might have to cam up in the back because I don't know, bro. You seeming like one of those suspected tether troll accounts, bro. But anyways, yeah, I just did a whole broadcast calling out cats in the streets, cats is on some gangbanging goofiness. I've done that stuff, right? But that didn't matter more so than me doing a backpack drive, mentoring youth, training and teaching them skills for free, right? Showing my face while I'm doing it, right? Hopping on cam while I'm doing it. Just saying, could you say the same? And if you have done this, then what are you whining about? We hate us. When I was mentoring those kids that are not mine, I'm mentoring and coaching kids that are not mine. You think I mentored those kids because I hate them? The link is right above you. Come on, bruh. And honestly, if you're going to be on this kind of goofy shit, it's like, I don't even know if you, I don't want you to come up here and, be on some kind of time wasting troll stuff. But the link has been out there. It's right above you, bruh. But let me play some more of this video before, Mr. Tether comes.
No way, we can be this retarded.
But maybe whites are a bit smarter than blacks. You don't think about that? They always say, oh, look, whites have all this power and all, well, maybe because whites were more competent. Well, how is it they organize society better than the black people do?
I mean, black people have never had a chance to organize society.
Come on, they have all their own nations in Africa, and they failed to organize a successful country.
Even with me.
And see, this is what they like to do. Whenever they talking about black Americans, they try to pivot to Africa. Why didn't you organize in Africa? Because I'm not African. And then they refuse to talk about what you organized here, what you built here, and what they burnt down. They burnt down a lot of stuff that wasn't organized. It wasn't a Black Wall Street. It was Black Wall Streets, multiple. Tulsa, Wilmington, North Carolina, Ocoee, Florida, Rosewood. So there were a lot of places that blacks did build something up. Man, I don't know what to tell you, bro. I'm gonna drop it one more time and then I gotta move on, bro. Because to be honest, all you're gonna talk about is more of the same. What about black on black crime? It's like, come on, bro. We've heard that. Cue the tiny violin.
I wouldn't bring up a fake statistic about white people and get excited about it. That shit is weird. I'm only gonna provide y'all with truth, and that's it. If somebody's using fake numbers about white people, I'm gonna tell them, bro, that's not real. But honestly, the only reason why black people have been seen doing that is because it's in retaliation to what they're doing, to show them this is what y'all are doing to us, and this is how stupid y'all look doing it. So I get why some black people do it for that specific reason. But if it's to spread misinformation, I don't agree with that either.
Imagine being able to build.
Yeah, we deal with scholarship, so I'm not into spreading misinformation. So I'm going to go ahead and pivot to this next story, and this will be the final story. We have a suspected troll tether in the chat, a suspected Sambo that's, You said, let me talk, see if you think I'm AI or Sambo. Bruh, I'm trying to let you talk. I hit the link. I'm not saying you're AI. I'm saying that you have an AI profile pic of yourself. That's all I'm saying. It's roasting, bruh. You saying I'm triggered by your comments. You triggered by the roasting, bro. It's roasting, bruh. And I didn't say that you were Sambo. I said a suspected. I don't know if you are. That's why I dropped the link. With your rhetoric, I'm saying that is the suspected language. You may be a upstanding person, but that language, you feel me? It's just like someone using racist language. No, I'm not racist. I just espouse some racist epithets. You know what I mean? So maybe you're not a Sambo. I'm just saying, just some of the talking points. The what about black on black crime? It's like you wouldn't have to ask that if you were actually doing something about black crime. Clearly, you're not. Going to other podcasts and other broadcasts and commenting in the chat, what about black on black crime, isn't doing anything to eliminate or mitigate it. Just saying. But I'm going to go ahead into this final story and then I'm going to get up out of here. But who knows? I may come back and hit y'all with a double header. But let's see. Give me one moment. And I'm going to pull this other video up. Let me just get to that. And actually, while I'm pulling up this other video, you said, trust me, I'm good. I just have seen a lot of brothers kill with my own eyes, not on the news. And I respect that. If you are a sincere person and you can care about the community, then, hey, we can come together and stop. Because, hey, first of all, crime has no color. But since people want to assist on the black on black crime, I'm willing to help come with solutions. I'm willing to have boots on the ground, lay, my resources on the line, just to ensure that we have some sort of resolution, right? But imagine if we are a team and we're trying to build a team, it's not going to galvanize the team to just say how bad, man, we just keep losing, bro. And this team sucks, man. And this team sucks, bro. Now let's go out there and win a championship because we suck. You feel me? It's like, nah, there's going to have to be some way where you hold the team accountable, where you're stern, but at the same time, you're relatable and you're presenting a solution, talking about the problem while not simultaneously presenting a solution is a form of whining. And we don't want to do whining over here. We want to be winning, not whining. And I'm all for winning. I'm all for the mitigation and hopefully, aspirationally, the elimination of all crime. But where there's people, there will be crime. Where there's poverty, there will be crime. So if we can create better outcomes financially for people, the crime will drop organically. Realistically, crime is at lower levels. However, even though if it's still happening on a consistent basis, people may not care about how low those levels are, because when you're dealing with a severe crisis, you know what I mean? You said I used to sell drugs, smoke dope, and be a part of the problem, and that I can respect. So now, and this I'll tip my hat to, because I always say there were many people that were part of the problem. Now it's about, you don't need to feel bad for yourself. You don't need to look at yourself, and I'm not saying that you do. I'm just giving a generalized response. People that used to be on drugs, you don't need to look at yourself as a junkie, as the scum of the earth, right? All you need to say is, this is the evolved version of me, right? And sometimes, the struggles that people have endured, sometimes that has made them a more fortified person in life today. So yeah, I mean, salute to you, bro. I got a street background, bro, so I don't really judge people. Some of the realest people I know come from the streets. Some of the smartest people I know come from the streets. The most intellectual people I know are from the ism. And, it got to be in you, not on you. Many wouldn't understand, but it's not for everyone to understand. I wanted better for myself, and I started wanting better for my people. So I tip my hat to you, Trayon. You sound like a good dude, bro. Sound like a good dude, bro. This I can get behind. The other stuff, not so much. But this is the beauty of we roast with each other. We have contentious language. But at the end of the day, if you want to see better for the people, I want to see better for you, because, we all we got, we all we need. And sometimes people get a little bit triggered by the roasting, even if it gets a bit aggressive. But, bruh, if we're all family, then I'm going to roast you. Me roasting you is a sign of endearment. You know what I mean? because that's just what we do. And family members, sometimes they are very obnoxious, rambunctious, and very radical with their roast, and it could get uncomfortable, but the love is still there. You said, so I was at the bottom half of my community and witnessed horrific behavior amongst us. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Most crime is intraracial. Most of the horrific things that white people have seen are going to be done by other white people. Most of the horrific things Mexicans have seen have been done by other Mexicans. So I don't want it to make it seem like it's just inherent to us. No, human beings are emotional creatures, and it's inherent to impoverished conditions. If you look at areas where people are affluent or they're living in mixed communities, those things aren't happening because it's a different socioeconomic condition. However, if people are impoverished, and this is not an excuse, but like there's something called the diseases of despair. If people don't believe they have a future in life, why would they care, right? If somebody was told, man, you ain't gonna make it to 18, then you ain't gonna make it to 21, then you ain't gonna make it to 25, those type of people may not care about how recklessly they live or what type of irresponsible things they do, because they don't plan on being here that much longer. You know what I mean? And it is a toxic form of living, but that mentality is bred by certain conditions, circumstances, etc. Right? Yes, you know, you can blame some on the individual, but you also have to blame some on the system as well. Like, you can't absolve people of their own personal responsibility and autonomy, but you can't absolve the system of their autonomy, right? Because the system planned, right? The school to prison pipeline is planned. So yeah, you can say, well, you shouldn't have done that. Yeah, that's true. You shouldn't have done that, but they also shouldn't have implemented a diabolical, sinister plot to, you know, keep a bunch of bodies filling the jails, right? We can talk about both things simultaneously if we're having an intellectually honest discussion. And you said, I'm a clown. I love kicking it like this. I didn't know you was roasting, but fam, I just know how crazy we are, not towards other races, but ourselves. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, bro. And I talk about that all the time, you know what I mean? And most of the talks I'm doing in person and in private, because many times people, they want like a gladiator, bring me his head type of thing, right? They want to see a glorified admonishing of the community, but who does that serve? You get on a podcast and you talk about black on black crime till you blue in the face. There's already a bunch of content creators like that. I present to you, you know what I mean? Go listen to Charleston White. Go listen to Jesse Lee Peterson. Go listen to Anton Daniels, the Hodge twins. They got a bunch of channels. All they do every day, black people ain't ish, black on black crime. They're saying how disgusting the community is, how low IQ the community is. Look at Officer Fakem, Brandon Tatum, right? So if you want to hear that type of content, there's plenty of people talking like that. But then again, what is that serving? What is Officer Tatum built for the black community? He's a black dude with a white wife, which, hey, nothing wrong with that. Wish him the best, right? Candace Owens, black woman or Caribbean woman with a white wife. Hey, more power to her. But she's in a mixed family, calling her kids mixed, and most of her content is about the black community. What is Candace Owens built for the black community that she keeps talking about? What is Officer Tatum built? What is Anton Daniels built? What is Jesse Lee Peterson built? All they've built is an anti-black platform. So is that really what we need? Yeah, we need more people to call ourselves out. All those people are calling the black community out. So what are you saying? We need more and more and more platforms calling each other out? No, we don't need to call each other out. We need to call each other up. We need to call each other into the fold, call each other up in life. You feel me? Hey, you were down. I'm calling you up. I'm helping you up. You wagging your fingers, man, y'all need to do this, and y'all tearing each other down, like that's not a galvanizing message, right? You're at a cookout, we over here laughing and giggling, man, what about black on black crime and tearing each other down? It's like, nigga, you were part of the crime, bro. And what have you done to clean up what you've tore down? Oh, well, I just talked about it in the comment section. How much money have you donated? What nonprofit have you started? What kids have you mentored for free? What kids have you trained for skills for free? Many people haven't done the bare minimum, but they got the maximum level of criticism for the community. It's like, nigga, you don't give a fuck about the community. And I'm not saying you specifically, I'm just saying in general. If you did, you wouldn't have to ask about black on black crime, because you would see, hey, I point that this is an issue and this is how I'm dealing with the issue. Yes, the folks I named are sellouts, but that's the whole point. That language comes from sellouts. Because if you truly want to fix black on black crime, you're not going to get on a podcast and talk about it. You're going to be fixing it in the neighborhood and most people won't even know. There's a reason why they say the revolution will not be televised. You know how many homeless people I helped? But you won't know because I didn't film it. And now it's like, well, if you didn't film it, it didn't happen. So now I got to go film myself feeding the homeless just to what? Feed your ego? No, look, I really fed the homeless. Look, I went live. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying. Well, I do believe the impact. Like I said, I don't know, but I'm going to assume, because people like to assume the worst, I'm going to assume the best. I'm going to assume that you are a pretty stand-up guy in your neighborhood. So then you already know. If you're a stand-up guy in your neighborhood, if you've helped clean up your neighborhood, if you helped bring your neighborhood together, why are you telling me about hate? I don't care about the people that hate you. I care about the people that love you. There were a bunch of people that hated Jesus. Should we focus on the people who hated Jesus? We can surmise that there were more people who hated Jesus than loved him. Should I worry about all the people who hated Jesus or the people who loved him? Should we worry about the people who love our community and want to clean it up more so than the people who want to tear it down? And let's just say that these people are tearing it down. Right? They running around with guns and drugs and shit. They're violent. And you think that you're going to clean that up by saying, what about black on black crime? That's not going to help clean it up. In order to make an omelet, you're going to have to crack a head. You're going to have to crack an egg to make an omelet. And you said you had a street background, so you're used to doing that. Right? So the whole point is getting everyone on code so that no eggs need to be cracked. However, there is a level of enforcement. There is a level of security. You said, I don't record myself feeding people at my family's restaurant. You'll probably never see when I feed people. You're making my point for me, because the revolution won't be televised. I'm not going to say, hey, homeless person, I'm finna give you this burrito and a little bit of money for your pocket, but here, you mind if I get this photo for the gram? So there's a lot of people that are doing stuff. There's a lot of people that are not talking about black on black crime. They're working to mitigate black on black crime. They may be doing rallies. They may be doing community outreach, but just because you don't see it on TV don't mean that it's not done. And that's what people are clamoring for. Where's the podcast that's talking about it? And I just gave you a whole bunch of podcasts. The main people that are talking like that are sellouts. Because the people that are on code for the lineage, we know how to hold each other accountable when it's, when it's appropriate, right? It's not always appropriate to just, hop online and start bashing your community in the name of accountability. Because most Latinos kill other Latinos. Find me one video of Latinos talking about Latino on Latino crime. Find me the video of whites talking about white on white crime. Most crime is intraracial, right? So again, we're the only community that does that. And it doesn't mean that, hey, you love this crime and you want this to happen. No, people are vehemently against the crime. It's just, whining about it doesn't serve a purpose. So let me go ahead and play one more of these videos and then we will be up out of here. Give me one moment. All right, so this is going to be about the Haitian TPS, the deportations. So before I do that, let me make sure, because if you haven't took the time to like the stream yet, I'm going to give y'all 30 seconds to hit the like button.
If you feel the vibe, like, share, and subscribe. We growing on this journey. Come and take a ride. If you want to slide with that dude, be easy. We going all the way to the top. Believe me. All the way to the top. Believe me.
Okay, so let's get into this, right? Now I'm gonna react to this video. This video is from Channel 4, CBS News Miami, Fort Lauderdale. They are going to be discussing how the TPS for Haitians has ended and South Floridas are facing some uncertainty, right? And thanks so much, Sincere. I appreciate that. I didn't know you were still rocking out, Sincere, but you know, the sensational is still in the building. Now, there's been this obsession. It's really a demented obsession. And hold on, of course, I got to give a shout out. Hold on, where's Tara at? I could see Tara's comment, but where the heck is it at? Okay, here it goes. Poverty is man-made just like race, right? Race is a social construct, but poverty, yes. It doesn't have to be all of these impoverished enclaves. It's just poverty is what allows them to continuously control the masses because they can allow a few tokens, right? Hey, look, you can aspire towards being in the middle class, which really truly doesn't exist. But then they say, not only that, you can aspire to be a millionaire, a billionaire, or even like Elon, a trillionaire, right? Which is just definitely not sustainable. And it's impossible and implausible for 99.9% of the population. But by you chasing this carrot and this pie in the sky aspiration, then you're allowed to look over your fellow man. And I say it's funny, but it's not really funny. I'll just say it's amusing that people look to Jesus as their Lord and Savior. By modern standards, Jesus was a dusty. Let me say that one more again. By modern standards, Jesus, your Lord and Savior, was a dusty. There's no reports of Jesus being wealthy, rich. By modern standards, would Jesus even be in the middle class? Jesus would be a low-income person eligible for SNAP benefits in Section 8. But then you wag your fingers at people that get SNAP benefits in Section 8, but then you say my Lord and Savior is a person who would have been eligible for those same benefits based on their class and socioeconomic status, right? So it just doesn't make any sense. They love to say, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus want to hoard all the wealth? Would Jesus want to be a trillionaire? And if Jesus, our Lord and Savior, wouldn't want to be a trillionaire, then what are we praising Elon Musk for? Now, I don't, but I'm just saying. And you said, who's Lord and Savior? I worship Amon. Well, I'm speaking general because this is a purported white Christian nation. And that's what they say. So I'm speaking in a general facetious tone, not saying that everyone's Lord and Savior is Jesus. And I'm doing it overall to make a broader point. Don't let it go over your head based on your specific faith. And yeah, I mean, it's all good, bro. We can definitely link up. If you're on IG, hit me up on IG. It will be easier to contact me on there as well. Let me see if I can drop my IG. Hold on. Let me see. Give me 1 second. I was trying to see if I have my Instagram in here. I don't, but I'll drop my Instagram in the chat. And then, you know, you can hit me up on there. Or if you look in my about, I think I have an email there too. So I appreciate Tara Sanchez, but let's get into this video. But I do want to make this too, right? So, like I said, there's been a desperate attempt to overly Africanize us. Yo, African, you got to call yourself African. It's like, no, I don't. And even if you are, quote unquote, phenotypically, genetically African, right? You don't necessarily need to call yourself African. All these other groups in nation states have proven that. They say that Jamaicans are African and African descendant. Why aren't they called African Jamaican? Haitians, African descendant. Why aren't they calling themselves African Jamaican? No. Them calling themselves Haitian is good enough. Them calling themselves Jamaican is good enough. Most of the people from the transatlantic slave trade went to Brazil, but they're not calling themselves African Brazilian. Don't tell me Afro Latino. Don't tell me Afro Hispanic. Don't tell me Afro nothing. African. The same African they're trying to force upon us. Call yourself African American. No, I'm not African American. Never been to Africa. Don't know anything about Africa. My family doesn't know anything about Africa. You still African, so you gotta call yourself African. No, I don't, and I won't. Caucasian people are considered European. Why aren't they calling themselves European? Oh, everybody knows they're European. Okay, so if everybody knows they're European and they don't need to call themselves European because what's understood need not be explained, then we're okay with calling them Caucasian. So you should be okay with us calling ourselves black, and not just black, foundational black American freedmen. What's wrong with that? If we all African and people already know that we're African, I should be able to say I'm freedman and you'll know that I'm African. I should be able to say that I'm foundationally black and you know that I'm African, right? When you look at Caucasian, that's not the same word as European. When you look at the term white, that's not the same word as European. They love to say, why y'all call yourselves a color? Okay, why do white people call themselves a color? You're being dominated by white supremacy. Your country is full of melanated people, but it's being dominated by white people. The color. They say black is just a color in a crayon box. Guess what other colors are in that crayon box? White, yellow, red, blue, pink. Shall I commence? Brown is in that same crayon box. When we say that we're black, nobody is saying nobody, and I do mean nobody is talking about our skin tone. Most of our skin is brown, copper colored. We also have light, bright yellow, red bones, and we also have people that is as light as Steph Curry that claims to have a black identity, black American in specific. So again, African doesn't mean black. Elon Musk is African. Charlize Theron is African. French Montana, Moroccan, African. So when you just say African American, nobody knows who the hell you're talking about. Yeah, maybe there was a point in history that you did know, but right now you don't know. And even when you say Black American, no one knows who you're talking about. Idris Elba is some African British dude. How he really talks? Cheerio. Would you like a spot of tea? That's how he talks. He comes over here. He's African American, just like you. No, Idris Elba isn't like me. I'm not saying I'm better than him, and I'm not saying he's better than me. I'm saying we're not the same. Same means identical, not similar. An alligator is similar to a crocodile. It's not the same. A leopard is similar to a jaguar. It's not the same. Mexicans may be similar to El Salvadorians, not the same. Asians, Japanese, Koreans, sure, they have similarities. They're not the same. So why are you trying to convince me I'm the same as a Jamaican? I'm the same as a Senegalese person. I'm the same as someone for Burkina Faso based on my skin pigment. Look at your skin pigment. Y'all have the same level of melanin. No, we don't. But then if you want to play that standard, there's a bunch of Asians that have the same skin pigment as white people. So are Asians white based on their skin pigment? What are we talking about here? And I appreciate you. I told you, Big Rig, this one will be a banger. And salute to you, Gullah Geechee. That is your ethnicity. I respect that. You feel me? I respect the Gullah Geechee. I respect people that are actually claiming their indigenous lineage. You know what I mean? I don't have an issue. I trace my line back to 6th great grandfather who was a freed slave from the Seabrook plantation and immediately fought for the Union Army. This is what some would consider a foundational Black American freedom. And whether you identify with that term or not, this is what the lineage speaks to. It's just like an African American. I never, ever called myself an African American. No one in my family. We never just used that term. However, on paper, I was classified as one. So whether you agree with the term Black American or foundational Black American, because all a foundational Black American is just a Black American who doesn't have an immigrant background or immigrant lineage. That's all it is. The only reason why the foundational was added is because before, the same people who didn't used to call themselves Black, now they've started to try to tether on to Blackness. So now the waters have been muddy. Before, it was clear who a so-called African American was, but now no one knows who that is. It was clear who a Black American was because it wasn't just the Dominicans. I know Black Papi. It wasn't just them. I'm not Black, I'm Nigerian. I'm not Black, I'm Yoruba. I'm not Black, I'm Haitian. This is what people used to say. But then when somebody turns up the pressure cooker, when the heat gets turned on, hey, we all Black, we all African. No, we're not. And even if we are, they say all kinfolk ain't skinfolk. So you being Black, that's not enough. Haitians on the land of Haiti are living next to a bunch of Black people. Nigerians in Nigeria are living next to a bunch of Black people. And many times they don't get along with the Black people there, based on tribalism, based on frivolous reason. And we're supposed to pretend that these people are immigrating here to unite and form Voltron as one big global Negro. Yeah, in a Pan-African utopian mentality, that would work or could work, but that's just not the way people are operating. They love to talk about 1804 and then they stop short and forget that, yeah, the reason why your freedom wasn't sustained is because of the sellouts in Haiti, right? Haitians fought for their freedom and then other Haitians helped be complicit in selling them out to the France, so much that they had to pay reparations for freeing themselves. So we have to tell the whole story. You said probably 1 or 2 generations before my ancestors got off directly off the boat. Well, not everyone's ancestors got off that boat. And then for the ones ancestors that did get off the boat, they became a new group. And this is the desperation of trying to Africanize people, right? Because they try to say, y'all was taken from West Africa. There's a bunch of different countries in West Africa right now. And none of those countries in West Africa consider themselves the same. So imagine that we all were just a hodgepodge mismatch of a bunch of random West Africans taking and trekked across, the transatlantic. But then when we got here, we became all the same. Yeah, we became all the same when we had an ethnogenesis, and that's when we became Black, right? We weren't Yoruba, we weren't Igbo, we weren't Hausa, we became Black. Because even the people of so-called indigenous tribes, once they got reclassified as Negro. We all became the same, but we weren't the same. We became the same because it was forged here. The ethnogenesis became here. Now you have a bunch of people, and you said the one big Black brigade. We can't try to pretend we all Black, and then meanwhile in Africa, which is supposed to be the birthplace for Blackness, in Africa, none of them are saying they're the same. So here we supposed to pretend we're all the same, and then you go to Africa and they say, nah, you're different. Here you're supposed to call yourself African, but you go to Africa and they say that you're American. So in America, you can't even identify with your American lineage. You have to identify as Africa. No, I'm not African. We were taken from us for Upper Egypt. Well, this is the thing. This is my position. If you're African, salute to you. If you're an African Gullah Geechee, salute to you. I'm not African. They say this all the time, and this is a contradictory. They say all of your Africanness was stripped, right? And that's true. And then when you create something completely new, that's African. No, how could it be African? You just said everything about me African was stripped. I had to create something from the bottom, from the rooter to the tutor. Nothing about me can be reproduced in Africa. It can be replicated. It can be replicated because the blueprint, the carbon copy, is here. We set the standard for global Blackness. That's why all of our institutions, All of our culture has been rooted in blackness, not African identity. Nothing wrong with being African, nothing wrong with Africa. I'm just saying we are not Africans continentally or culturally. It's been something that's been trying to be forced on us, and people are trying to grasp for straws to try to make yourself African. And as much as you do that, when you go to Africa, they tell you what you are. American. So if they're going to tell you the motherland is going to tell you that you're American, why wouldn't you lean into your American lineage while you're in America? All of the wars that my ancestors fought were in America. They didn't fight not a single war in Africa. I don't know anyone in Africa, no cousins, no long lost cousins, no friends, no babysitters, no one in Africa. You know nothing about it, but it's still, they say, you don't know who you are. You don't know where you from. I know exactly where I'm from. It's in America, my motherland. But they want you to keep reaching back. Yeah, but you want to erase the history from thousands of years ago. But no other group is told to do that, right? They said that thousands of years ago, so-called Native Americans were Asiatic. But why aren't they trying to force them to call themselves Asian? The so-called Mayflower Heritage Americans, we know that they're European, but are they calling themselves that? Caucasian doesn't mean European. And African doesn't mean black, because Zoran Mamdani, the New York mayor, guess what he is? African American. He's an Indian born in Uganda. So that makes him African. And he's an American citizen. So that makes him African American. No, he ain't black. Yeah, that's what I've said. He's not black, but he's an African American. Tether Obama, a biracial Kenyan. No, he's black. Is he though? Because when you try to press him on being black, he doesn't lean into blackness. He leans into being African American because he's a Kenyan biracial person. So he's comfortable with that term. He's not comfortable standing on blackness because that's not part of his culture. We said, say it loud. I'm what? And I'm proud. Fill in the blank. Did we say it loud, I'm African and I'm proud, or say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud? If it's already understood that we are African, then why did I need to say it? Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Historically, what colleges? Right? What history month? Is it African History Month or Black History Month? Are they historically black colleges or African colleges? And matter of fact, where are the historically African colleges, right? Just saying, why are we the ones had to create it? We're considered the minority, only 13% of the population. So how could we create a historically black college in, these majority black nations haven't done it? Just saying, that sounds like the blueprint. No, I was agreeing with your statement about us coming from all over the continent. And this is what I'm trying to say. They talk about how human civilization is hundreds of thousands, some say millions of years old. They talk about how the first people were melanated people who would be classified as Negroid today. And they show you the sophistication of these people, but then they try to pretend as if these people just stayed cornered off onto one continent. They only stayed over there and they didn't go nowhere else. It just logically doesn't hold any sense, right? They try to make you pretend as if, on one hand, they'll try to make it seem like, oh, Africa is the land of the blacks. But then when it turns into some sort of accomplishment, they'll say, oh, well, the Egyptians wasn't really black. They was Arab and stuff. But there's no race called Arab. Well, yeah, they were Arab, but they were really Caucasian. They was just darker Caucasians. That's why Egyptians today are considered white. In America, Egyptians are classified as white. Palestinians, white. Lebanese people, white. Syrians, white. Iranian people, white. Because even in North Africa, they try to make North Africa not even Africa. That ain't North Africa. That's the Middle East. It's literally called North Africa. But then they say, well, it's not really quite North Africa. It's the Middle East. So it's more like Asia, right? But do these people consider themselves Asian? Just saying. Were they out there when they were saying, stop Asian hate? But yeah, they talk about how the man, populated all these places, but they try to pretend we went to every part of the globe except for America. Why did they call the Olmecs El Negro? This is not what I call them. Why did they call don't talk to me about pretendians. Just answer me, why were the Olmecs called El Negro? And what does El Negro mean? Now they're trying to frame it now with this whole new pseudoscientist. No, they didn't mean black, and no, they didn't mean negro, and they didn't mean melanated, even though they called them that, and even though it looks this way, they didn't really mean that. But we saw what they did with, their so-called depiction of Jesus. Yeah, they tell us that here. I agree with you. Yeah, appreciate that. I watched my cousin play a raceway game in the countries where Italy, Nigeria, Kenya, Ireland, etc., and you picked your color, black or white. Well, in a lot of those places, people are going to pick white, including in Nigeria, including in Kenya. A lot of those people, they're kind of ashamed of their black genes, so they think that their pathway to upward mobility in life is similar to many Latinos with the Mejoró la Raza, and they want to lighten, brighten, and widen the race. There are a lot of melanated people and African Caribbean people who believe that lightening the race is going to somehow translate to a certain level of social success. People talking about, oh, I want my kid to have good hair. I mean, that's some kind of sick, twisted social stuff that you're projecting onto your kid. I'm going to get with a white person or a non-black person because I think my kid is going to have better hair, which means they'll be able to go through the upper echelons of society, So all you're doing is fueling the so-called colorism that you complain about. Caucasians only just started to exist 8,000 to 40,000 years ago, or 400,000 years ago. Yeah, this is what they call a genetic mutation, in terms of the white gene, albinism, etc., is what they say, right? So again, like, the Caucasian person is very modern, but then they've convinced you that the Caucasian person was on every landmass, but it wasn't the melanated figure. When you look at all the Aboriginal people in these respective nations, the Aboriginal people were all darker melanated people that will be considered to have negroid. Oh, you said no, not 400,000, 40,000. Oh yeah, you're right. My bad. It looks like I kind of read that wrong. Well, yeah, it makes sense. All right, now let's get into this video and then I'll be shutting her down.
Miami. Now at 11, we are less than an hour away from TPS ending for hundreds of thousands of Haitians in the U.S., most of them in South Florida. The Trump administration posting this message tonight saying, quote, "Your free trial of America has ended," adding enforcement will be carried out. Good evening, I'm Lauren Pastrana. The government only giving Haitians two options: leave now or...
So I just want to say this, right? Because I'm not trying to be insensitive. But you said what I saw was nationality being supported in that game rather than ethnicity. So they want us to be American to fight wars and patriots, but outside we're just black. Yeah, and this is what Floyd Mayweather was talking about, right? This is why Floyd Mayweather, and he said this years ago, how he rejected the term African American. He said, nah, bro, I'm just black. I'm a black American. And he said, and really, I'm just an American, because when Floyd Mayweather or anyone is fighting for the Olympics, they'll say the American boxer. They don't say African American boxer. They don't even say black American boxer. They say American, and that's it. When we're winning titles, American, that's it. When you over there to go catch some bodies and you're doing these sniper missions, you're American. We're all American. Like, forget the hyphens. I don't see color, right? But then as soon as you get out, they talk to you about black on black crime and all this other type of stuff. But it's like, you just spent hours talking about you didn't see color. But now suddenly you do see color. So yeah, they want us to have this flat Pan-American ideology when we're serving the interests of the corporate establishment and the oligarchy. When you got to split a wig and bust a head in name of a patriotic sense of duty to the country, then you can just be just American. But then notice when there's some so-called crime, suddenly we're not Americans anymore. It's the niggas, it's the blacks. There goes the neighborhood, didn't do nothing. It turns into all that. But why aren't they talking about Americans on American crime? If there's some blacks in Chicago harming other blacks, why are you talking about black on black crime? Why aren't you talking about American on American crime? Why aren't you talking about male on male crime? Why y'all gotta make it about race? Ain't that what they say? They love to say that. Y'all make everything about race, but no, it's them fixated on race. When someone commits a crime, what's the first thing they care about? They don't care about how many bodies dropped. They don't care about the charges. All they care about is what race was the person that did it. And then they'll start talking about didn't do nothing, fatherless homes, and all this other type of stuff. But then again, how does that help eliminate or mitigate what you're complaining about? It doesn't. And to be patriotic, be outside of that because we're just black. Excuse the misspellings of words. Yeah, I got what you were saying. And if I kind of misread anything you were saying, just go ahead and let me know. But let me go ahead and get back into this video. But before, I just want to rewind this back, right? So in case y'all can see this, right? So the Homeland Security, they said temporary protected status is exactly that, temporary. For those with terminated TPS, it's time, it's closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. You don't, they are essentially saying you don't got to go home, but you got to get the flip out of here. It's not too late to get a $2,600 check and a free flight home. So imagine this, right? The same people who say, why y'all looking for handouts? Why y'all begging the government? Now the government is going to hand out checks for people to deport. So they don't want to give a check for the violent nature of Jim Crow, enslavement, debt peonage, redlining, sharecropping, on and on and on. No money should be compensated for that, right? But because someone may have came here illegally or may have came here legally and now their status is illegal, they're going to pay them to go home. Have any of you guys ever really got a $2,600 check from the government? I'm sure right now, if you got a $2,600 check, you can make something shake with that. I'm sure it would be something useful to you. So all of the fiscal conservatives, they act like you can't cut a check, you can't give a handout, but you can give a handout when it serves your agenda, when it is an incentive to boost your agenda. But I'm not hearing a bunch of people talk about why y'all passing out taxpayer money. They're not saying that. They only say that when it pertains to foundational Black Americans. And giving a check for reparations, that wouldn't be a handout, right? That's for a debt owed. All of these wacky leftists who pretend like they care about labor, that was for services rendered. And all the, well, you was never a slave. Well, they never paid the slaves. Once you don't pay the slave, you still owe the slave. Since the slave is not here, the debt goes on to their heirs. People pretend they don't understand. But then Kathy Hochul, just a couple years ago, she gave millions and millions to Jewish people for reparations. Guess what? Not every Jewish person was a Holocaust victim, but guess what? They said, well, the Holocaust victims were owed that, so the money trickles over to their heirs. People understand this. They just pretend to not understand it when it comes to foundational Black Americans. Now, this is mainly about Haitian TPS, even though they ended the TPS for the Syrians as well. Now they're offering to give them $2,600 and a free flight home. So they're not offering them $2,600 and then saying of that $2,600, you have to use that money. How much is $2,600 in Haitian gourd? 339,040 Haitian gourd. Now, I mean, that's a nice chunk of change. $2,600 is a nice chunk of change for Americans. It's a lot more of a chunk of change for Haitians. So I'm just saying, this is a golden opportunity for people who love their country so much to go back, take the money, flip it, and then maybe you can try to come back through the legal avenues. But at the same time, if you love your country so much, what is the issue of going back? This is not being xenophobic. This is really literally about the brain drain. Most of the most prominent people, the most intellectual people that are of Haitian descent, many of them don't live in Haiti. So how would the conditions of Haiti or any of these nations change? You can fill in the blank: Venezuela, Mexico, Nigeria. How will the fortunes of any of these places change if they're consistently having a brain drain? The best minds, the most studious people, the most astute and intellectual people are fleeing the country in droves. So the Haitian president was assassinated. They have some nigga named Barbecue who they allege is running the country and eating people. Now, whether these are obnoxious, outlandish claims, these are what's being alleged. Where are the powerful Haitian content creators to speak up and speak up about this? Where's Wyclef? Where's Kodak Black? Where's any of these other Haitian people to speak up? I'm just saying. Now let me pull the video back up. And then another thing too, why are they delineating? Why are they calling them simply Haitian? They're African, right? So they're African Haitian. Why aren't they calling them that? There's a sick obsession with us. Y'all African. Call yourselves African American. Okay, fine. We have to call ourselves African American since it's non-negotiable. So we have to put the African in front of everybody since we all black and we all one big generic African from the motherland. Fine. If we're held to that standard, we have to put a continent in front of our country. African American, fine. African Haitian, African Jamaican, African Brazilian. Don't say Afro, not AFRO, African. African Trinidadian, African Bahamian, African Ivorian, right? Since you love the term African so much, let's get back into it.
TPS ending for hundreds of thousands of Haitians in the U.S., most of them in South Florida. The Trump administration posting this message tonight saying, quote, "Your free trial of America has ended," adding enforcement will be carried out. Good evening. I'm Lauren Pastrana. The government.
And shout out to Black American Homeland, Black Paper, Black American Homeland, Supermajority Black Region of States, Great Reverse Migration, first published by Frederick Delk in 2012. New 2023 edition is available. I haven't heard about that. I'm going to have to look that up. Let me try to type it up. Black, what's it called? Give me 1 second. Black Paper, Black American Homeland. Let me see. Black Paper, Black American Homeland. Let me see if I can find this. Y'all give me 1 moment. By Frederick Delk. Okay, let me see. Let me just see the concept overview of this book before I proceed. And shout out to Black American Homeland and shout out RS11. You said they stupid. They're gonna get 8-2. African Holdfish. Okay, so let me give me 1 moment. We just gonna do a little bit of detour. I just want to look up this book real quick and I'll get right back into regularly scheduled programming. But don't worry, I'll get ready to shut her down pretty soon. I do appreciate y'all for being here with me. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you. Now, Black Paper, Black American Homeland is a political and a social vision proposed by Frederick A. Delk, a prominent Black conservative and investor aimed at creating a supermajority Black contiguous region of states in the U.S. The concept envisions a self-governing region where Black Americans can exercise political and economic empowerment, free from systemic discrimination. The goal is to build a prosperous, culturally rich community with tailored policies, economic opportunities, and infrastructure investment. Okay, that sounds good. I'm gonna have to check that out. So thank you for the suggestion. And let's get back into the video.
Government only giving Haitians 2 options: leave now or wait to get deported. CBS News Miami's Abby Dodge is your reporter live in Little Haiti with reaction. Abby?
Religious leaders made their way to
Another thing too with all of these ethnic enclaves, This is where people delineate. They act like they have an issue with delineation, but they don't. Why is there a little Haiti? Last time I checked, this is the United States of America. This isn't Haiti, just as well as this isn't China, and this isn't Korea, but they have a Chinatown, even though this is America. Koreatown, America. Japantown. Then they have little Africa, little Senegal, and all this stuff. But it's like, I thought we were all the same. I thought we all black. If we all black, then why can't we just have a town where black people live amongst each other, right? And you represent for your Haitian culture, but we don't have to call the neighborhood Haitian. No, that's not good enough. This needs to be Little Haiti. But where does that leave me? I'm not Haitian. Well, deal with it. So we're supposed to allow a neighborhood to be culturally transformed into Little Haiti, Little Mexico, Chinatown, Little Havana, right? But then we say, hey, fine. You're Haitian. You want to have this neighborhood as Little Haiti. I respect you. And matter of fact, I champion that on. But since I'm not Haitian, I want to create a neighborhood that's established as an American freedom in town, where it's culturally representative of American foundational black culture. Then it turns into, well, everybody gets to come in and everybody has to be able to set up shop because we're all people of color. Well, show me the people of color town. They try to say Asians are POCs and immigrants are POCs and all this stuff. Well, show me the town that's called a people of color town. Show me the town called minority. Show me the town called marginalized groups. Show me the town called underserved groups. You can find a Little Haiti. You can find a Chinatown. You can find Little Puerto Rico and Little Italy and Little Ireland. You can find all of these towns, but no, this isn't Ireland. This isn't Italy. This isn't Haiti. This isn't Cuba. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have these ethnic enclaves. What I'm saying is you've already set the standard that you have no issues with ethnic enclaves as long as it's not a foundational black ethnic enclave, right? We're supposed to be okay with a Chinatown where they wouldn't have any Chinese businesses and won't hire any black people. Fine. That's their business. So how about we have a foundational black American town and yeah, Chinese and Asians and other people could shop there, but you're not getting hired here. What's wrong with that? That's reverse racism. That's segregation. No, it's the same thing that other groups are doing. Show me the black businesses in Little Mexico. Show me the black people that are even employed in Little Mexico. And show me, and if there is a black person, show me the black person that's a foundational black American. Because sometimes they will hire melanated people, but it'll be an African immigrant, a Hispanic immigrant who is a darker melanated person who doesn't truly see themselves as black. So there's no benefit in us caping and crashing out for everybody. And we're supposed to crash out for all these melanated people. We all black. They come over here and say, no, we're not black. I'm Haitian. And that's why I want to create a Little Haiti, not a little black town, not a little African-American town, a Little Haiti. And I say, fine. There's nothing wrong with it. This neighborhood is a Haitian neighborhood and it should stay Haitian. But I don't want you infringing upon our foundational black neighborhood. It's going to be foundationally black and stay foundationally black. Don't try to mix no Haitian, no African spin into it because nothing about our culture represents Africa. It's strictly rooted here on the soil, which is why our culture that we produce can't be reproduced in Africa. It can only be replicated. And the replication is never good as the authentic version. We allow that. Us blacks invite everyone in. Yeah, and this is why I'm standing on business against that. Before, we thought that having a pan-goofy or pan-African, scam-African, clan-African mindset, we were doing it out of the love, the goodness in our heart because we are a loving people at our core. However, it's served to be a detrimental and a toxic decision that we have collectively made. Now, even if it wasn't me individually, I'm speaking as a member of a collective. So even if somebody was like, I didn't do that and I never did that, it doesn't matter if you individually didn't do that. As a collective, this is what's been happening. So you said, so back to what I was saying, those people love each other and stick together. We got to control our neighborhoods and stop being so welcoming to everyone except us. Well, this is the whole thing. This is where you're being a bit contradictory, because these other people were actually considered us. We were welcoming these people because they were considered us. We all black, so we welcomed people. Hey, they're minorities just like us. There's many Mexicans. Like I said, Mexico was a slave colony. So there are a bunch of Mexicans that have quote unquote African ancestry, a bunch of Puerto Ricans with African ancestry. So we were, based on the one drop rule, based on us being all inclusive, based on us loving each other. This doesn't speak to a group that hates, right? This speaks to a group that loves each other. However, a group that is desperate for validation and to not be viewed as the marginalized, downtrodden group. The reason why we're accepting other people is out of love, not out of hate. And a lot of the hatred towards people, I really think that that's a projection. People will hate the conditions that their people are in or hate the environment that they're in, but that they don't necessarily hate the people. And if we do hate each other, it's like, then I don't want those people speaking for us, right? Because this is the thing. Who is the we that hates? Like if I say, okay, do you hate black people? Well, no. Does your mama hate black people? Well, no. Does your daddy? Well, no. Does your cousin? Well, no. Well, who are all these people that hate black people? Well, this person and that person. Is like, okay, well, why are you caring about the people that hate? Why aren't you building with the people who don't hate the community? And then these other groups, you're saying that they stick together. Well, sometimes they stick together, but many of them aren't necessarily sticking together. The reason why many of these and sticking together could only go so far. So when they drop a bunch of immigrants in your neighborhood, what could you have truly stick together with? And then sometimes we do stick together, but it's for the wrong reason. We stick together, and not me, but many people stick together and vote Democrat. You're in Florida, right? What sticking together are you guys doing down there? So either you aren't sticking together, which is on you, or you are sticking together, which you're not speaking of. And if you're not sticking together in Florida, you need to deal with Florida. Don't say, what we doing. It's like, you're not from Georgia. Don't talk about we. And we is like, bro, you're in Florida. You don't know what we're doing in California. And y'all may be doing something better in Florida. So don't try to conflate that with what people in California are doing. So I concur with some of what you're saying, but yeah, the whole stick together thing, a lot of that is a myth, and we have stuck together. It's just we haven't stuck together always for the right reasons. We stuck together to allow immigrants come into the country, but we should have stuck together for something else. So it's not always a matter of sticking together. There's plenty of instances of us sticking together. It just needs to be a more focused and a targeted of sticking together. Why does all the wealthy, intelligent blacks leave our neighborhoods and go to the white neighborhoods? Well, honestly, it doesn't matter. Are you a wealthy black? If you're a wealthy, intelligent black, then you need, if you are that, then you need to ask why you left. And if you did left, that's a projection on yourself, right? And then it's funny because you say they go to a white neighborhood. Well, if it's a bunch of blacks going to white neighborhoods, then it's not a white neighborhood anymore. So imagine you talking about it's a white family, but it's a bunch of black dudes in the family. Is it still a white family? Well, it's a white family with blacks in it. Well, then you have to say that it's a white neighborhood with blacks in it. But if it's a white neighborhood with blacks in it, is it a white neighborhood, or is it a mixed neighborhood where predominantly whites reside? Right. And then there's always this fixation on what the wealthy blacks are doing. You are a dude from the hood, a nigga from the hood. You should be focused on what you're doing. According to you, you're not wealthy. You sound like you're intelligent. Why aren't you cleaning up the hood? You were part of destroying the hood. What have you done to build up the hood? This type of rhetoric is not going to build up the hood. So imagine you over there trying to get some dudes out the street, and your only thing is, why the rich people keep moving? Is that really going to stop the kids from gang banging in the street? We killing ourselves. It's like, bruh, what opportunities are you offering for them? It's like, honestly, if I was trying to get mentored, I wouldn't want you mentoring my kids. You're supposed to mentor a kid and make him feel good about myself. Instead, all you're doing is propping up white people. All the wealthy people go to white neighborhoods. Well, nigga, go to a white neighborhood. All the same stuff you're preaching, go preach it to a white neighborhood. If you don't care about the black community, then just go live with the whites. And if you do care about the black community, this isn't a way to galvanize them. It just doesn't. Nothing you're saying is like, oh, yeah, man, he dropping gems, because this stuff has been said before you were even alive. So it's not about what's being said. What are you doing? If the wealthy intelligence are leaving the neighborhood, then you need to be staying in the neighborhood. Remember the same neighborhood that you helped tear down? And if you helped build it up, why aren't you talking about how much you built it up? Instead, it's just this woe is me. Blacks do this, black on black crime. It's like, okay, we've heard that. It's a broken record, right? What about all of the positive stuff you're doing? You talking more about the negative. You claim to have done some positive stuff. You claim to have recognition and respect in your community. Yet the only thing that you've talked about is all the drugs and, killings, dealings, and blood spilling you were doing. Nigga, you helped tear down the community, but yet you haven't said anything that you've done to build up the community. You making these comments is not doing anything to build up the community. I mean, I want to hear what you've done so I can be proud of that. This isn't anything to be proud of. And if a kid is trying to turn his life around and get off the streets, this isn't going to be the motivating factor. Yeah, they can afford better things, which is poverty is the number one predictor of crime. There's a bunch of people that's in the hood that don't want to live in the hood, but they can't afford to leave. So they just stay in the hood. Not everyone in the hood is committing crime. When you make arguments like this, you're trying to presume that every entire person in the community is committing crime, and that's just not the case. You're saying this because you're projecting from a criminal mindset because you were a criminal. I said wealthy Haitians leave their country. And again, and people like to do this. You try to conflate leaving a country with leaving a neighborhood. Y'all was in the hood and left to a white neighborhood, and that's the same. So you're in your city, and then you move to a different part of the city. It's the same as moving to an entirely different country. Like, come on, bro. Do you hear yourself? That's like that's a reach with the conflation. And yes, I said wealthy Haitians leave the country. And I also said that wealthy Haitians should be the ones responsible for building up Haiti. Who else should be responsible for building Haiti? Trayon, right? Since you seem to want to uplift the black community. Matter of fact, bro, why won't you go to Haiti? Why won't you go help build up Haiti? The wealthy Haitians aren't doing it. So why won't you go do it? You have so much disdain for what's going on in the black American community. Just go to Haiti, bro. Go build up Haiti then. And this is what I'm talking about. And this doesn't just apply to Haiti. It applies to multiple countries that I said. Mexico, Venezuela, on and on and on. It's something called a brain drain. If the best, what country would need a prominent doctor more? Haiti or America? There's plenty of prominent doctors in America. Are there plenty of prominent doctors in Haiti? So they would be more needed there. Their services will be more valued and useful there. But if they don't want to even work in their own homeland, I mean, why are we pretending like we all coming together to build and have some enfranchisement? Like, bro, you're not even trying to enfranchise your motherland. We have our own issues to clean up here, right? So you said they've brainwashed everyone to believe America is so great and abundant with wealth. Correct. But then they've also brainwashed people to believe that the black community is so bad and all this other stuff. It's like, bruh, 8 of the 10 most violent cities in the entire world are in Latin America. And there's no Latino person talking about Latino on Latino crime. We got to stick together and we got to do better. Guess who when there's a Latino human trafficking, a child, guess who the perpetrator is? Most times, another Latino. Those coyotes, Latinos. When the Mexican cartel is killing people, guess who most of their victims are? Latino. So yeah, some groups will stick together to oppress us, but a lot of them are not sticking together. A lot of them are being hand-fed and spoon-fed, and that's not their fault. But when you look at a lot of these NGOs and all of these programs, they have monies, goodies, giveaways, and grants set aside specifically for these communities, specific for the reason of displacement. Shout out to my homegirl, Sabby Sabs. She talks about there was an immigrant family, and she talked about this dude, and she said he basically came over here with nothing, and he was given a grant to start a business, but only if he started the business in a black neighborhood. And he was told that he had tax-free status for 10 years. That never happened to me. I'm showing you that they said that they would offer Haitians $2,600 just to go back home and a free flight. Has the government ever offered you a free flight anywhere? Have they ever gave you any money? Right? So I'm just saying we got to put all these things into context and stop pretending like one group is better than the other, and these groups are just so violent. You know what I mean? He said, okay, so relate that to what I just said. Honestly, I'm, you know, Trayon, you kind of all over the place, but let's get back into it though.
Washington, D.C. tonight to talk with elected officials, but Senate support for a TPS extension will be difficult.
Someone has to speak up. Someone has to denounce that.
Vera LaRoe is in South Florida under the TPS program. She's facing deportation to Haiti, but plans to stay in her home packed with the essentials, while advocates work to extend the program. In her home packed with the essentials, while advocates work to extend the program. Archbishop deportation to Haiti, but plans to stay.
Someone had to denounce that.
Vera LaRoe is in South Florida under the TPS program. She's facing.
I was trying to get it there. This, you said, read the paragraph. Don't run from that. I mean, there's nothing to run from, bro. It's like, it's not like you really cooked or said anything, bro. Trayon, I don't know if you think that like you saying something that's never been said, bro. All the stuff, all the people that you said that you called sellouts, all the sellouts that I named, they've said the same thing as you. Now, you probably wouldn't consider yourself a sellout. It's just you're saying the same thing as sellouts. So there's nothing to run from. All of these statements have already been addressed ad nauseum. You're not really saying anything new. You're not even giving any solutions. All you're doing is kind of pointing the finger. Blacks do this, other groups do that. You've already bigged up white people, essentially kind of kissing white butt. You know, you bigged up all these other groups while at the same time tearing us down, while at the same time pretending that you love us. You saying we hate each other, well then you're part of the we, so I guess you hate us. So I guess most of your stuff is coming from a position of hate, because you haven't said anything from a position of love. You haven't said anything that was unifying. Nothing that you said would make people be like, man, that was a lovely statement. Nothing that you said has been unifying. So if your whole goal is for us to unify, it's like, honestly, you're doing like a horrible job at it. And let me just let you be clear. Why not read the paragraph aloud? I already dropped the link earlier. You didn't hit the link. I'm not obligated to read any paragraph aloud. Most people don't even read any comments unless somebody made a contribution. Sometimes people only read the comments that people super chatted. Now, I'm not monetized right now, so you can't leave a super chat, but you could hit me on the Cash App though, right? So yeah, bro, no one is obligated to read your comment, bro. And like I said, you're not saying anything that's like profound. What you're saying has already been repeated over and over. You're not giving any solutions. All you're just doing is kind of whining about the community. The black community is bad. Black on black crime. We don't stick together. We hate each other. That's not a unifying message. We hate each other. We don't stick together, and other groups do. And the black people are, and the white people are better. It's like, and you're expecting to unify the community, right? Come on, bro.
Facing deportation to Haiti, but plans to stay in her home packed with the essentials, while advocates work to extend the program. Archbishop Thomas Wensky left for the Capitol tonight.
I have over 40 people on TPS that will lose their work permits today, and we will have to let them go.
This evening, DHS posted saying your free trial of America has ended. You can wait for DHS to deport you, or you can leave now, with a link to the department's self-deportation website. A nonprofit that tracks removal orders says since March of this year, deportation orders for Haitians in the U.S. have gone up 96%. CBS News Miami spoke to an immigration attorney who says those who do self-deport need to let the government know.
Just because you're not here doesn't mean they cannot initiate a case after you've left, and it's important that you address that.
CBS News Miami spoke to an immigration attorney who says those who do self-deport.
So, of course, this is not to denigrate or disparage, but if you look at some of these conditions that people are living in, you know, this is why Trump, in a disparaging, demeaning way, he called many of these people's homelands shitholes. Some will call them hellholes. And then there are a lot of people that they agreed with him, right? I'm not calling it. I'm saying that these places are underdeveloped. They're underdeveloped because they're overexploited. How would someone be able to fight and contend with these Western powers? They love to talk about U.S. imperialism, colonialism, white supremacy, which is all real, which is all pervasive, which is not a boogeyman of the past. It's a modern day monster that's never stopped rearing its ugly head. Who is responsible to fix Haiti? You can't say that Black Americans who many of them largely never been to Haiti, it's not our responsibility to fix Haiti. You're definitely not looking at the Latino population, even though technically you could say that Haitians are Latino. They're sharing the same island of Hispaniola with the DR, and DR people are considered Latino, but some consider the Haitians the bastards of the Caribbean because they were colonized by the French and not the Spanish, right? But charity starts at home. They don't say charity starts in another country, or charity starts at the neighbor's house, or charity starts in another block down the street and you hang a left. Charity starts at home. So how will you be able to build up your homeland from someone else's homeland? How will Haitians ever be able to build up Haiti if the most prominent, the most wealthy people are willing to flee Haiti? And in the chat, you know, this person is equating them leaving their entire country because, okay, fine, they want to leave this part of Haiti. Why aren't they staying in Haiti and building a more thriving neighborhood? And people love to do this. Well, Black people, it was the same. Y'all left the hood. You left the hood to go to another part of the city. So you're in the same city, just a different part, and you're in your same country. So you didn't leave your homeland. You didn't leave your motherland. You just relocated, right? Is people saying that every part of Haiti looks like this? There's no place for you to relocate? Because there's non-Black people that live in Haiti and they're not living like this. So again, when are the wealthy Haitians of any racial and ethnic background going to go and help clean up Haiti? And if they don't want to go, when are they going to stand up to the so-called Western powers and U.S. imperialism? This fight for TPS has given them more coverage than they've gotten for their president being assassinated. How many people know that the president was assassinated? How many people know about this nigga named Barbecue that's allegedly terrorizing the country with these gangs and stuff like that, right? Who is responsible to clean this up?
Need to let the government know.
Just because you're not here doesn't mean they cannot initiate a case after you've left, and it's important that you address that for any hopes of coming back legally in the future.
Before her status official.
France should fix Haiti. I agree. And again, bro, like now you starting to get a little bit annoying, bro, because again, all this typing, you could have typed a solution. You didn't type a solution. You're saying I'm running. There's nothing to run from. And let me just be clear, nigga, you're not owed a response, bruh. Like, you from the hood, bro. So like, come on, bruh. Like, why are you acting like a goofy square nigga, bruh? Come on, bruh. What are you even saying? You haven't said anything profound. You haven't said anything that Charleston White or Anton Daniels haven't said. We know. You think black people hate each other. What about black on black crime? Okay, we know. You still haven't said what you've done to mitigate black on black crime. You still haven't said what black people you've employed. Do you have a business, and who have you employed with that business? Nah, we not trolling. You're trolling, right? I said I was roasting. Roasting doesn't mean you're trolling. You could roast about something serious. If you're trolling, then you're not serious. And none of your comments will be taken seriously because you came here to troll. So that's what I have to call you. Troll one. Instead of Trey one, troll one. You know what I mean? Because come on, bruh. Get serious. Oh, y'all in the chat, bruh done read all my comments, so why he skipped that one? It's like, bruh, you didn't say, nigga, you didn't say nothing profound, bruh. You literally didn't. I know that you thought you was cooking, but no, you weren't. You gave a basic comment, and I don't even know which comment you're referring to, because, bruh, there's more than one comment. The show is not about you, bruh. I've already dedicated a lot of time to comment. There's no rule on YouTube. You got to read every comment, right? Literally, this is your first time ever coming to this stream, so I don't really know what obligation you think that someone should have. But just to be clear, no content creator is obligated to read people's comments. If they do read the comment, it's because they want to be socially engaging. It's not because they're running from it. You said I'm running, and I dropped the link multiple times and you never hit the link. So if anyone is running, it's you. Nigga, you're running. You said I'm Carl Lewis. Well, you beat me. You're Usain Bolt. You're a record holder in running. You ran from the link. I dropped the link about 3 times and you never hit the link. But you stayed in the chat to troll and kind of stay the same stuff. What about black on black crime? We hate each other. The white man, his ice is colder. Other groups stick together. It's like, man, he running from that. He running from that. Nigga, we've heard that before, bruh. We've heard it before, bruh. I didn't make it about you. I made it about your statements. And I made it about, you know, your illogical fallacies. But shout out to the hardest working mod on YouTube, Vibrant Low. And you coming in on the back end, I'm about to get ready to shut it down.
Officially expires, LaRoe decided to take a stand and speak up. Now, with a link to the department's self-deportation website. A nonprofit that tracks removal orders says since March of this year, deportation orders for Haitians in the U.S. have gone up 96%. CBS News Miami spoke to an immigration attorney who says those who do self-deport need to let the government know.
Just because you're not here doesn't mean they cannot initiate a case after you've left. And it's important that you address that for any hopes of coming back legally in the future.
Before her status officially expires, LaRoe decided to take a stand and speak up.
We are tired of being the weak one, the wicked one, the weak one that you can just say, do anything and then with no consequences. This has to stop.
The effort to extend.
When she says this has to stop, what is the this that she's referring to? I don't know. She says this has to stop, like what has to stop? Be more specific, right? Because, you know, if they perceive this as anti-blackness, that will never stop. So, I mean, does she mean that Haitians have to stop fleeing here? Does she mean Haitians have to stop getting discriminated against? What has to stop? We don't know. Now, I don't think any group should be mistreated based on their skin pigment, race, ethnicity, orientation, creed, etc. But you know, black people have tried to tell people. We've talked about that this was a racist country and white supremacy exists. And many people, including some Haitians, because there were a lot of Haitians that voted for MAGA, right? Many people thought that we complained too much. And unfortunately, this is the result. And you said, he also said he believed in, yeah, that's what I'm saying, Tara. Like I said, kind of all over the place. So, you know, I think sometimes people want to kind of derail the show to make it about them, even though I've given them an opportunity to shine. You would have been on the Summer Jam screen. I gave you the opportunity to shine and you didn't want to shine. You want to shine in the chat rather than on the screen. So, yeah. And you said, I'm gonna let you have the live back. Yeah, we'll talk later. You know what I mean? You never took my live. You know what I mean? I was always in control. You know, you never had any control. You know, you had troll, but you know, or maybe you did. You conned and trolled, so you conned me and trolled, but you had never had control. But salute to you, though. I do respect. Yeah, and I got to give a shout out to y'all because y'all had to deal with a lot of the trolling and a lot of babbling incoherently. So respect to y'all, but also respect to Tara because Tara came through and I do appreciate the perspective that she provided. But I've already been rocking out for daggone 4 hours. I know my boy Big Rig might go live later. If he don't, then I may come back and hit y'all with a double header. And you said, I don't know how to go to the link. Well, that's not my fault because you were ignorant on how to hit the link. That's not my fault. If somebody sends an invitation and you like, man, I ain't know how to get to the party. Yeah, bro, I sent you an invite. It's not my fault that you didn't know how to get to the party, but don't trip, bro. Like, you'll have many opportunities to come up and speak your piece. You know what I mean? And, you know, this is not an echo chamber. So I do appreciate the contrarian views. We like to troll. We like to roast and get a bit aggressive. You know what I mean? When we're having serious discussions, we don't do the trolling. It's roasting is always up. You know what I mean? That's just part of the culture. You can get roasted at any time, but the trolling has to have some level of sophistication attached to it, not just kind of aimless babbling, which is the territory that you were going into. But I do respect there were, you know, a number of things you said I agree with, a number of things that I was like, what is bro on? So I will hit y'all with a series of visuals and then I will get ready to shut her down. And I do appreciate y'all rocking out. Yeah. Hey. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah. Shit so hot it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. I bring the pain like an aftermath of a car wreck. There's a lot of niggas that say they real. To me, that shit is far-fetched. Them cats is pussy. They really is on some feminine stuff. I rock up on them with the 40 ounces. The definition of adrenaline rush. What it do is sweet like cinnamon puffer. My niggas is rough like Willow Pass. Grew up out on Mary Mac, but I used to hang on Willow Pass. These birds that I roll with, outcasts and misfits. For the zip lips so you get hit when the fifth spit. Flat line in your pit. Trap habits is black magic, no voodoo. Get the bands like boo-coo. For the cocaine, they go cuckoo. Most these niggas is foo-foo, so I'm shitting on them like doo-doo. I can't fuck with y'all like tofu. I'm just saying, man, like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix on Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God, it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause I'm still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on shite racking and fly back out the mill. When they hear me flow, they say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hear me flow, say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.
Feel me, ooh, ooh, B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah. B-Eazy.
B-Eazy, B-Eazy, he is that dude. Ooh.
to be easy. He is the one that you can call so he can get the job done. He about to reign supreme if you thought his run would soon end. He just getting started though, so go ahead and tune in. Be easy, he is that dude. Ooh, 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 he is that dude.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Follow. Be easy. You know you want to.
We're waiting.